You're thirsty on Maine. We're thirsty on tap.
Thirsty on tap. Thirsty on tap.
Welcome to Thirsty on Tap, where what's on tap is always a queer read.
Hi, I'm your co-host Bronwyn, dopamine addicted, idiots in love, and slow burn sommelier.
And I'm your co-host Chris, enemies to lovers lover and bantercore aficionado.
So pull up a page, pour yourself a drink, and let's dive in.
Hello.
Well, hello, how are we?
We're okay. I'm so sleepy. So, I don't know what my energy is going to be like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm making some poor life choices with
Ooh.
I don't want to say late night because that would just reveal how old I am, but
Oh,
how about we
honey.
say mid-evening caffeine hit?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of doing that too. I'm not going to lie, but I didn't. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
If
It's just
my
not coffee though. I'm having a London fog.
Oh,
So.
nice. I was gonna say if my energy changes mid-show, it's probably because I got up and got coffee or something.
So prepare everyone for me to be
Yes.
the totally unhinged one.
Oh, don't you worry. I can be unhinged even with this energy. So this is our cozy episode. This is our mellow. We're
Yeah.
cozy, we're vibing. Definitely not the energy of the book we're talking about at all.
Definitely not. No. Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Okay. So before we dive into what we're talking about today though,
Mhm.
so you said you're drinking a London Fog. That's your
I
drink
am.
of the night?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. I am drinking a root beer. So we're both like a little more.
We're trying to convince 2025 to have a little bit more chill. It's a quarter
That's
century. I feel like,
yeah.
it's a square year.
A
Um,
square year. What does
mhm.
that mean?
You can actually divide 2025 by it's a square root.
Oh, I thought a square year. I was trying to picture the year as a square, and I was like, is
Yeah,
it
like your square
it
breathing.
always a square? Because there's like four seasons. So in my brain, it's always a square. And
Yeah, no,
that's
it's 45 squared.
we are in the neurotypical zone over here. Did I tell you the story about what time is purple? Did we have this conversation?
Not recently.
Oh no, it was very recent. So, right at the end of the semester at the college I work at, we often have like recruiters and stuff come into the college. It's usually like colleges, sometimes the army, people getting people signed up to vote, things like that.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, we have the local evangelicals come in.
Oh, oh, that's a choice. Okay.
Well, you can't actually stop them. It's the thing. It's a public university,
Yep.
so it's not really a choice. It's just a thing that happens.
Oh, no, no. It's a choice on their part going to a public university is more what I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's also not a choice on their part. They gotta make, Sky Daddy happy, What are they gonna
I-
do? Uh, sorry. I'm so sorry for this energy, you all. I already know it's gonna be great today. Uh, but so they came in and they were handing out this book and they've gotten like trickier because I think they know that people like spot them a mile away and like take a different hallway. So
hmm
they start handing out things that aren't like obviously Christian at first. And they handed out this book this time around. I did not grab one to find out what it meant. And now I regret it because of the foreseeable story we're about to talk about. I
All right.
don't know what this metaphor was. But the book was called What Time is Purple.
Hmm.
Now, I saw them. I went, oh hell no. I know Christian recruitment when I see it. No thanks. Hard pass. Wave my little rainbow flag keychain in their face and walk away. They were left me alone.
Yeah.
My delightful student with autism comes in just a few minutes later, walks into my office and goes, so I was downstairs and I discovered that what time is purple is like a Christian thing. I didn't realize that. I saw what color is purple or what time is purple, and I walked up to them and I was like, yes, finally, someone that thinks like I do. I think 11 o'clock is purple, if I'm honest with you. Um, My sweet baby angel with autism, I
Mhm,
think, spent like 25 minutes explaining which colors assign themselves to which times on the clock
mhm.
to these unsuspecting Christian recruiters. And it honestly delights me more than anything in the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is absolutely something that I would, and I think maybe have done. But see,
Uh-huh.
these are the conversation points where you do meet your people, right? Like,
Yes.
um,
Because I also think when she said it, I was like, yeah, you're right. 11 o'clock is purple. That is actually correct.
you,
Like a nice light lavender purple. Not
you
like
know,
deep purple, but like lavender.
no,
11
right? You don't
o'clock
get
is
into the
lavender.
deep purples until like 11 p.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I like the idea that like the two halves of the clock, like is the
Hmm.
pastel versus the
Like
this makes
the
perfect
gem
sense to me.
tones. Yeah.
This makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And then but like, so there's this XKCD, and if anyone out there hasn't read or isn't familiar with XKCD, then go to xkcd.com. You're welcome.
You need that
Um,
in your life.
but there's a comic on XKCD that is talking about just how you interpret time, and like,
Oh, love.
especially when you're on an insomniac streak. And this in particular resonated with me. And so it's something that I have referenced many times in my life
Oh my
since
God,
that
love
has
it.
been there. And it's one of those things where, if you don't get it or you haven't seen that reference, like it's pretty obscure. So no big deal. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me. But people who do get it, I'm just like immediately, you are my people. Like this is a like a secret code, like a secret handshake kind of. Like I said something about setting the alarm for cinnamon, and
1000%.
my work wife, Crystal, immediately said, wouldn't want to miss levitation class.
Oh my God. I love that.
It's at 272, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it is, buddy.
It's so funny. I immediately can spot the 90s kids because we start talking about schedules and we're like 11 o'clock, wallow in self-loathing. Uh 12 o'clock, lunch with myself. I can't keep skipping that. That is a reference to the
Oh,
Jim Carrey Grinch, which is not good, but is also iconic.
fair. Fair enough. Yep.
We no, this is just post Christmas. I mean, this will come out only a few days after we're recording it, so you all know this is just post Christmas. And there was a lot of love for that movie this year, which I was very surprised by because we'd all collectively decided to hate it for like a decade. But then
Mm.
suddenly we were like, life is tough. It's very entertaining. And I think the best part was all of us rediscovering Martha May Whovier, the like yassified Who queen in that movie. Played by
Oh my God.
Christina Baranski.
Amazing.
She's perfect. She is gay as fuck, and she's smitten with the Grinch. So baffling. We love a monster fucker when we see one, you know?
I mean, absolutely. That is kind of our raison d'être.
It
So,
really is. If you're new here, we're major monster fuckers.
especially for people who are on the A spectrum one way or another.
Oh, yeah. Look, I may not want to fuck much of anyone, but if I was going to, monster.
Yeah. And for me, Monster and Steve.
There you go. Monster and Steve is a children's comic book. You can't tell me it isn't. I'm Monster. This is Steve.
Oh God, except for me, which is, the not safe for work version.
Yeah. Yeah. You're Monster and Steve After Dark.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, I
I love it.
am.
So listeners, our very next episode is going to be the first half of our Queer End review. Any thoughts or things you want them to like be salivating about before we get there, Bronwyn?
Oh, well, I would like everyone to take a collective moment to be very proud of me for
Oh my
actually
God.
listening to my neurologist. And
Did you slow down?
I slowed
No.
down. I did. I put down a book occasionally,
Oh my God,
and
Bronwyn.
I went outside occasionally. I mean,
Whoa.
let's be honest, it was still pretty rare. And
Still, you touched
I
grass?
touched grass. I touched grass. I played video games. I watched
Okay, that's
shows.
not touching grass.
Oh, fuck you. It's touching grass.
Playing video games. I think the grass is supposed to be literal and not graphic.
Look, I touched literal grass too, and
Okay,
then I
okay.
went back inside from the angry attack sun, and
Listeners, I would like you to point out to Bronwyn that I am not wrong for saying fictional grass doesn't count as touching grass.
it counts. Yeah, I put my book down and I did something else.
Does it? It sure couldn't less count. That's so funny though. I love it. You're like, I played Skyrim. I touched literal grass.
I did not. I played Diablo and I played
Does
Stardew
Diablo
Valley, which
have
is
okay? I was
full
gonna say,
of grass.
does Diablo have grass? I've never played it.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Especially in
It's not-
Nahantu, and I absolutely got the expansion. So
Oh, I love that. It's not cozy enough for me, so I've never played it. But Stardew
sometimes
Valley
I
has
need
a
to
lot of
fish, and
grass.
sometimes I need to slay the fuck out of a bunch of demons.
That's really
I contain
valid.
multitudes.
We may or may not be talking about our favorite games this year as well in our
Mhm.
Queer End review. So buckle up.
Exactly.
And we're gonna have 2 guests, not just 1 guest. We're gonna have 2 guests.
Pretty excited about it.
So you all can start salivating, start messaging us your favorites. We might read some on the show if you send us some interesting ones.
Exactly.
Um,
So, I mean, I
yeah.
still probably hit 400 books this year. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie, but
yeah, you did.
I took a year off comics.
I know. I'm so shook because I have a lot of comics I want to talk to you about. So I don't know how I unlock that part of your brain again, but I need you to come back.
I'll come back to comics when you read Lily Morton for me.
Okay, whatever. No, you won't. You'll do it when you feel like it. Just like I'll read Billy Morton when I feel like it. Let's
I
not
will
lie to
feel
each
like
other.
it. I will feel like it if you actually manage to read those 4 books for me.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
I'll do it and we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, you can try calling my bluff, but I'm the autist in this one, not the ADHDer. So
Oh, I know, but I also
I'll do it out of
know-
spite.
Oh, fair enough. That I believe. That you would do it out of spite, I believe. But I also know how much of a like dramatic mood thing it is for you. So
yeah, but I will do it out of spite.
but oh my god, they've relaunched the Sora with so much better art, and I need you to jump back in because
Honestly, that art is gorgeous.
the muscles be muscling. They were like, what if we take this really cute, simple art style and we make them hot as fuck?
Yeah, and wow, they did. Yeah.
They did. Oh my god. We'll talk about it next week though. This is a 2-part episode. We'll talk about it at some point in the foreseeable.
Yes.
But for now,
Don't get too caught up in the whole like structure or schedule of the things, because we are not. We are bringing chill vibes into 2025.
Yeah, we had such an organized structure previously. We're not doing that shit.
Nope.
We didn't
Not
do
feeling
great at sticking to it even when we had it. It was very theoretically a structure.
Mhm.
Like it was a structure in the sense that like pipe cleaner makes a scaffold.
I was misdiagnosed with OCD and spent the next like 20 years of my life recovering. And now I'm fully recovered, so fuck schedules.
Yeah, schedules are bullshit. So
And by recovered, I mean I'm autistic, not OCD.
I was gonna say, I was really just gonna let that one go. And
I appreciate you, but I couldn't let it go because I'm autistic.
I'm glad you caught it because I was like, that's not true. But I didn't realize we had 2025. We were just bringing bold-faced lies.
I mean, yeah. Is it chill?
It's 2025.
No.
We
Don't
are.
care. Is it
oh
chill?
my god.
Yes.
We are chilling. We are lying.
Yeah.
We have been watching a lot of Smosh, and Arasha being a liar is one of my favorite running jokes.
It's glorious. It's glorious. She is a good liar.
She is a good liar. She has deep Slytherin energy, and she should be in a Marvel movie. And if you don't understand that, you should watch Smosh.
She booked.
She booked. I cry so hard.
Oh my god. The way you embody Angela sometimes.
I am Angela so hard. Not even sometimes. I think that each of the two of us, I don't know why I said it that way, both of us, embody like 2 to 3 different members of Smosh. And for me, it is absolutely Angela plus Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, that is the center of my personality. There's a little Amanda, but not a lot, just a little.
No, just a hint of Amanda.
Like a sprinkle of Souchon, if you will.
Yep.
You are Shane.
Yeah, I'm Shane with a sprinkle of Courtney.
Which is so funny. You're like their ship.
Yes,
are
yeah.
the embodiment of them together.
But oh my God, I am so Shane. It is startling.
It's true. It is true. In the same way that I am Angela. It honestly is upsetting sometimes. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yes.
wow, I
The
mean, but I
shit that
love
comes out
her.
of his mouth, and I'm like, oh
Oh yeah.
my God. Oh, Jane,
So
just said
true.
that. Like,
So true, bestie.
uh, oh. And you know what is the best part of that is that Shane and Angela are like siblings. Like
I
they get on like a
know.
house on fire. It's like,
It's really
it's
cute.
hilarious. I
It is
love
very
that
cute. This is
energy.
the only time we've ever identified ourselves as siblings versus like most of
I
the time when we
know.
identify ourselves as parts of a couple.
I know. It's hilarious, but it
What are we?
works.
This is what queer platonic relationships are. Are we siblings? Are we in love? What are we?
Yeah, I don't, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't
It doesn't
matter.
labels are for 2024. 2025 is gonna be rough, you guys, based on the first 2 to 3 days of it. So we're just gonna have
No,
fun.
chill.
I'm not even wearing a bra anymore. Like
You know what? I'm just,
that's
you know
actually
what?
true. I've
Too much
decided to say
reality upsets the delicate balance here, so
I've
chill.
basically said fuck it to wearing bras and real
Hmm.
pants, and this is 2025. This is the energy.
No hard pants allowed.
No hard pants. Life is hard
Yep,
already. The
life is
pants don't
hard
need to
enough.
be.
Nope.
Ugh, we love it. So, speaking of the energy we're bringing into 2025, we are talking about our amazing, beloved, new favorite author, Allie Therin.
Oh, my God.
I guess saying new implies that their book was not my favorite last year, which it was.
Which implies that we haven't spent the last year salivating
Oh
for
my
this book
God.
that we read in 20 seconds and are now spending the next year salivating over
It's
the
really
next
upsetting.
book.
I need well, first of all, we both have some gripes to get out there. We should say what the books are.
Oh, yeah, probably we
Oh
should.
my God. This energy is loose.
So, what we're
Um,
talking about today is called the Sugar and Vice series.
which we didn't understand until the second book what that meant, and I fucking love it.
Oh, yeah.
Long game, Allie, long game. And the first book is called Liar City, which was my favorite book of 2024. Was it? It was close to being your favorite. I can't remember if it was the top or not. I
Yeah,
I don't remember. Oh, you
I
didn't
think
rank them. You didn't rank them
I
last
didn't,
year.
no, I wasn't able to. I couldn't do it.
That's so valid. We'll see how well I do this year. I'm trying, but I don't know. But it was my number one from last year, and it was close to the top of your list.
Yeah.
And then the sequel, which is Twisted Shadows.
And oh my God.
It takes a lot. We read a lot. I know. Everybody gasp, right? We
Hmm.
read a lot of books, and we read a lot of series. You more loyally than me, but I try.
Mm.
It takes a lot for a sequel to a book that good to be as good, if not better. And it did. It did that, and it crushed my soul in the process.
Oh my God. This book, okay, I just want everyone to know
Yes.
that, I
Yes.
read a lot. I read so fast, I read ridiculous. So I spend a lot of
Yes.
my time in this state of nobody gets me.
Okay.
Nobody understands
Bronwyn turns into an emo
me.
teenager in the early
Yeah,
2010s. Yeah.
look, okay.
MySpace with the little like swoop over your face. Yeah, we get it.
I
We know.
was an angsty teenager. I just did it in the 90s. I'm sorry.
You were a grunge era
I
angsty teenager.
was.
I was
Yeah.
a MySpace era angsty teenager. We both have the terrible photos to show for it, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. Although I'm not going to lie, the grunge era was a nicer one to grow up in. It was the era right before that with all of the fluorescence and the hyper color. That was the one that took no prisoners. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's valid. Hey, I still love my little goth era. I was just having a flashback about it because my mom mentioned something and I was like, that was during my goth era. I remember, oh, because she was like, you remember when we went and got our nails done all fancy one Christmas? And I was like, yes, I do. It was in my goth era. And I remember because that poor sweet nail technician, I was trying to explain that I did want them black as my soul.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. Like, my goth era lasted about 20 minutes before
Mine
everyone started
too.
laughing at me because I cannot pull that shit off.
No,
I
but
looked like a fetus
same.
even then. Like, I just,
No, I think I was just my personality has not changed. So I
mm-mm.
was this energy while wearing black, and then I'm just giving April Ludgate on steroids, you know? It's not really it's not really
Like,
landing.
ended up just sort of leaning into the kind of
The
goth.
bubblegum aesthetic that you got going on. The your
Yeah.
whimsy goth, the whimsy
Whimsy
goth of it
goth was
all.
the closest I got, really. Yes. And then a little bit into the sort of grunge industrial,
Oh,
but
nice. My mom, brilliant woman. Honestly, like her parenting, next level. She just goes, you can absolutely do whatever you want. You can dye your hair, you can paint your nails, you can buy the studded clothes, but you have to buy it.
yeah.
And that's why my goth phase lasted for 2 months because that shit is expensive.
Hmm.
I was like, whoa, you played the game, woman. She's like, not really. I mean, if you had managed to buy it, I would have been fine with it. I just knew it was expensive.
Yeah, my mom tried that with me too. I just turned into a really good thrifter.
I love that. There was no thrifting amount that was going to make up for the fact that I didn't have an allowance. So there's that.
See, yeah, you just needed to up your babysitting game.
No, I babysit all the time, but it was for my siblings, so it was for free. It was
Oh,
really just dark times when you're the
yeah.
youngest. No,
Yeah.
everyone constantly reminds you that they, kept you alive when you were little, so you owe them. And you're like,
Yeah.
but there's more of them than there was of me. Just throwing it out there.
Right. No, I was the oldest, so I
Uh,
definitely pulled that argument.
there you go. Yeah, that argument had already been worn through by the time I came around. Nobody bought it anymore.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, what are we
sugar
talking about?
and vice.
This
Sugar
is
and
so weird.
vice. Okay, can I blurb it for you?
Yes, let's say right off the top, because this is a series where it matters more than often when we review them. We're gonna spoil the hell out of these two books
Yeah, I'm gonna try not
in the
to spoil
blurb.
too much, and
Are
definitely,
you?
yeah, not in the blurb, but
Oh, in the blurb. Okay, I was gonna say I'm gonna spoil everything. So
yeah,
I don't know
we'll
your
see. We'll see how this ends up. But
Okay.
definitely spoiler warnings, but not the blurb. I don't think will spoil anything.
Okay, but as soon as we get into the plot and shit, yeah, buckle up,
Okay.
babes.
Yeah, all bets are off.
All bets are off.
Okay, so this is me trying to blurb a series as opposed to individual books, so bear with me.
Oh, okay.
All right. Can you picture it? The world today, only human empathy is both enhanced and vilified to the point of bigotry and social ostracization. Tough to picture, right? Narrator. It was not, in fact, tough to picture.
True.
Enter Reese, anxious empath extraordinaire. Sensitive and snarky in equal measures, Reese will tell you like it is, but also try to protect his own stalker if the person looked cold or. Enter Grayson, the dead man, empath hunter, ultimate weapon, secret softy. You enter Jamie, Reese's sister, an actually good cop, not to be trifled with, total badass. Enter Liam, Jamie's partner, PR guy, can make it happen. Here for the vibes and the hot cop. In a world where empathy is the enemy of autonomy, who can you trust?
The only thing I would put, are you done? Sorry.
Yes, I'm done. Yes.
The only little asterisk I would put is beside actually good cop, because as is with all of our series, does she stay a cop? No,
No.
she fucking doesn't.
Which is what makes her an actually good cop, let's be honest.
No, that's really what it is. That is what it is. So genre, or we used to call it genre. I'm gonna call this our AO3 tags now going
Yes,
forward,
I think that's
because
actually more accurate anyway.
let's be so for real. Non-violent solutions, which I love, have to solve things
Yes.
without violence.
Mhm.
Mystery, enemies to lovers, ultimate hand and unlovable hand.
Mhm.
Tons of hurt comfort with the
Mhm.
perfect ratio of hurt to comfort. Love
Mhm.
it. Love to see it.
Mhm.
Protective sibling energy, who hurt you energy.
Mhm.
Tons of mutual pining, especially in the second book. Forbidden
Oh, yeah.
star-crossed romance, surprising fluff, you see it coming.
Yes.
Lots of matching baggage, and especially as we get to the second book, found family.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would
Yes.
say
I
I'm
would
gonna
also say
throw
bantercore. Just a hint of
yes,
bantercore.
not just a hit, especially the second one. I would say lots of banter core.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
the energy shift is different. We'll talk about why,
Oh
but
my
the energy
God.
shift is very different in the second one, because it goes from being it's not a solo POV, because you do get other people's perspectives in the first book, but you don't get the dead man Evan Grayson's perspective at all. But in the second book, we get him all the time, and that really changes the vibe, which is so fun.
Extremely, and it's hilarious. Like
It's really funny.
it's to me, it's amazing because um given the subject matter of these
Yeah,
stories, I would
yeah.
not have pegged them for being
No,
funny.
I know. I mean, I think the first one made me laugh at times, but not anywhere like the second one is so funny.
Oh my God, this and okay, and shout out to Joel Leslie for the
Holy
audio on
shit, that
these
audio is
because
good.
dear Lord, there were some moments I cried. I laughed so
Crying,
hard in this second
sobbing.
one. Like,
I
oh
know.
my God, the man can deliver a son of a bitch, is all I'm
Oh
saying. Okay.
my God. Yes. And
Oh,
look, I think maybe one of the underappreciated skills of the voice actor is the ability to read some of the horniest dialogue you've ever heard without
yeah.
making it sound silly. And he delivered.
Yes.
I there's a voice actor I follow on TikTok who talks like she will record herself recording audiobooks sometimes and like her bloopers and some of the times when she's reading something horny and she just like gets overwhelmed by it are some of my funniest
I think I
moments.
follow her too because it is so good.
She is so funny. Oh my God. Before we get into it, I'm gonna shout out this. There is some like proper trigger warnings in this one,
Good
especially the
call.
second one. Again, I really do think that the first one, we had no idea. The first one was amazing, but man, we had no idea where this book was going.
Nope.
But in both, I would say trigger warnings for metaphorical bigotry. It's not bigotry against a real group of people,
Hmm.
but the nature of it is I mean, it's like we're X-Men here, right? Like we know what it's talking about.
Exactly.
In the second one, we have also not metaphorical bigotries. We have some homophobia and stuff like that, some racism pop up.
Yeah.
Stalking. I
Yep.
don't know if experimentation makes sense as a trigger warning because I hope it's not happening that often, but I'm gonna throw it in there anyway.
Medical stuff though is a
Medical
trigger
stuff is a
warning.
good point.
Yeah.
Torture.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's like, especially as we get toward the second one and we find out more about what's going on, it's got some stuff, you guys. And so look up, that's the ones that stood out to me. I would look up the trigger warnings if you're worried. Nothing is like, it's not graphic by the
No.
nature of what kind of book it is, because the empaths in the book are unable to experience graphic things. It's like it actually shuts them down, which has a wonderful effect of making us not have to experience any of the graphic things. And I do love that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love to see it. Um, yeah, so let's dive in, yeah?
Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about,
Yes, 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 yes.
like there's a lot of things in these between the two books especially, but
Yeah.
one of them that I want to talk about is the narrative voice,
Mm.
the writing style, because I, as we've previously stated, read an obnoxious amount. Like I'm aware that
Yes.
I'm over the top. I know this. So
Yes.
I read a lot and it's rare for me to be truly surprised.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Mhm.
rare for me to find something that isn't in some way familiar.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that there aren't things in here that are familiar. Of course there are,
Sure.
right? But
Yeah.
overall delivery of like the narrative voice is I find so unique. Like I just there's something about it. And maybe it's because I did these in audio. I don't know, but there's something about them that
They're so
just
unique.
reaches out and grabs you. Like it's really, really, really engaging.
Yeah. I don't think it's just the audio. The audio is beautiful, but I will say so this is I love these books. These are truly both of them, and I think of them as a single unit now in my brain.
Yep.
They are up there in my top five favorite books, right up there with Gay Wolf books, right up there
Yes.
with our with
David.
David R. Slayton. I almost called him R. David Slayton. What the fuck? Um, the name switcheroonie just happened, but David R. Slayton, all of our like our authors, these are easily in that realm for me.
Yeah.
So I am a little insane. I may have physical copies of both books, e-copies of both books, and audiobooks of both books.
Yep.
And I'm not sure I didn't accidentally buy multiple audiobooks.
Amazing.
I think I noticed that I had it on Audible and on Libro, and I was like,
Look.
Ah,
I can't even say anything because I have two copies of Liar City in audio. I
yep.
have them both in ebook, and I'm
It's
not gonna lie,
so
they are
funny.
gonna end up on my physical shelf.
We
So
need our little serial killer trophies.
yeah,
I did just give one of my copies away, so I have to get another physical copy because I'm constantly thrusting these upon people.
yeah, same.
Um, and so sometimes having a physical copy is useful because then you just put it in their hands and be like,
Hmm.
you need this. You need
Yeah,
this in your life.
but
So I will say I have read it in every form, a little bit of each part in every form. And it's just as good. I think Allie Therin uses she. They actually should look this up and should have done that before we talked. They are so unusual, their writing. It's
yes.
just there's nothing like it.
No, and it's beautiful. I love that. Like it's super engaging.
Oh my God,
I
yes.
find it so like I'm hanging on every word, just the way the dialogue is done, the way the descriptions are done. I'm just and I can't pinpoint exactly what it is that makes it so unique, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep reading to find
Oh
out.
my God, yes. There's not a quick answer on their social media, so I'm just gonna keep using they as a general term rather than
Mm,
definitely
works.
what they use, if that works.
Yeah, works for me.
Um, all right, just letting the listener knows that's what I'm doing because I can't find their pronouns right off the bat. Okay. Um, no, I
The
agree. 1,000% agree. So these books fall into a place, honestly, again, with Gay Wolf book and David's books, where they mean so much to me that it's
mhm.
honestly hard to describe to people because I feel like they fundamentally, I don't know if they changed the way I saw the world or gave language to the way I saw the world,
Mm,
but I use it like I gave a speech on banned book day, and these were the example I used of why we shouldn't ban books.
yeah.
Because I feel like this story, like it gives such a perfect metaphor to what we're going through as a society or as multiple societies. It's not just the US, though it definitely is the US. But you know, a lot of westernized societies are going through right now.
Uh,
In a yes, please take over because I'm think I'm floundering.
only if you're floundering because you were making an excellent point.
Thank you. Save me and then the point will come back. Okay.
Okay, because I agree very much. Like for me, and I think you really nailed it when you compared them to the Gay Wolf books and to David's books.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, one of the big draws of all of those
Mhm.
is that they're
Yes.
a very interesting and specific lens on the world with enough
Yes.
of a removal that I don't feel stressed reading them.
No, that's exactly it. Right?
But
Because yes, go ahead. Sorry.
no, 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 it's
The
okay.
energy is popping all of a
Right?
sudden.
We're
Like now
sharing
I'm
the brain
awake.
again.
I'm awake again. Yeah, so it's like okay, so there are other books that we don't bring up as often, but I think have a similar
Mhm.
effect, but I'll explain why they don't come up as often. I feel similarly about like Babel.
Yes.
But Babel is hard to
Yeah.
read. It's everyone should read it. Like
It should be required reading as far as I'm
yes,
concerned.
give
Grade
yourself
11
some
English.
yes, give yourself some space and time to process and read it. Or like Iron Widow. Like those books are never going to be the ones we reach for like easy fun reading, but
Mhm.
they do like shape the way we view the world. I think these that three like trifecta of David, Charlie, and Allie Therin now are somehow able to do that, but still be so fun that they
Yeah.
don't put a lot of like mental taxation on your
Yeah.
brain, and yet they change the way you see the world, which I don't know how you do that. I don't
No,
actually know how one does that.
that's a very specific skill set that has
Yeah.
me absolutely in awe because it
Yeah.
really like it when I talk about Charlie's books, the Big Bad Wolf series, I
Yes.
talk about those as if they're um oh, how do I describe them? I use the word like sort of subtly seditious, right?
Yes. Yes. That's it
And I
exactly.
feel like that actually applies for all three of these. Like
Yes.
it's easy reading, but
It is.
not in a way that doesn't ask you to meet the author where they are,
And I
right?
don't think it's a coincidence that all three of them are lightly to aggressively ACAB books as well,
Right. Yeah, well,
where
yeah, exactly,
each of
right.
those three have cops that become not cops over
Yeah,
the course of the
exactly.
series, and I'm like A plus plus. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think it's a rare thing. It's such a special thing.
Hmm.
I
It's
it's
just a brilliant use of the genre
it
as a
is.
tool for shining a light on aspects of our society. And like it
Yeah.
just allows you to be sort of hyper focused on a specific aspect of our society that's troubling,
Yeah.
um, without doing the call outs that can get you banned.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because if you wanted to, you could, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I feel like you could read this and not immediately then go, but this is the world. But if you're us, you immediately read these books and go, this is the world we're living in.
But that's where the subtly seditious part
I
comes in,
agree.
right? Because like
Mhm.
for these books, they're preaching to the choir because
Yeah.
at that stage they're preaching. When you're the choir,
Yeah.
they're preaching. But when
Yeah.
you're not the choir, it's
Yeah.
not preaching, it's whispering.
Yeah. It's
But
like
that whispering is sticking in your head somewhere, and making you
it's
think about things.
a
Just
little Fedor pulling you off the road
yeah,
more traveled, right?
make you open to that conversation, maybe, I don't know.
No, that's exactly it. I would love, I mean, probably they would just never read it. I would love to know what somebody who didn't already think like this would think, but then I'm like, oh, right, they're gay, so they're not gonna read these books. But unfortunate. But anyway, that aside, I feel like we gotta just like live in the central metaphor for a minute of the
Yeah.
empathy because this is the part that really grabbed me. And the
Hmm.
part that it feels so different. I have read books. I love the concept of empathy as a superpower. I love it when it pops up in like Heroes or X-Men or whatever, but I always find myself very frustrated because I always wanted it to be the main thing. And no, I feel like no writer, somebody will probably call out that I'm wrong about this. No writer that I have read has ever understood how to write that. And so it always feels like, oh, like Deanna Troy on the Star Trek Enterprise.
Deanna, I feel nothing, Troy.
Right. Deanna, we have to block her powers because empathy is actually too powerful and would ruin the show if she always had it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, Allie Therin was like, okay, so what would it look like if you
Hmm.
genuinely had empathy so strong and so inherent? And how would that change society in the society we currently live in?
Yeah.
And I think they're so correct, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so many elements to it, like so the empaths feel people's emotions initially through touch. Some of the stronger ones we find out can do it in other ways. Some of the stronger ones can sense things like lying.
Yep. And they start to be able to, it's like an extreme version of pattern recognition. It's because they
Yes.
have this extra informational sense, right? Like
Yes.
everyone else is working with one data set and they have two, you
Right.
know?
It's like the BBC Sherlock when he goes into that, like, there's lines popping up across the screen
Hmm.
or whatever. All empaths who are really strong can do that at a certain
Yeah.
level.
But you know what I want to touch on before we get too far
Yes.
into this metaphor
Do it.
is one of the things, and this is hilarious because this is actually a callback to when you and I first started to become friends.
Oh my God.
Um, we were talking about empathy in almost like a snarky way, not that empathy was bad or anything, not like that, but
Oh, oh, oh.
about how when people call
Call themselves
themselves
empaths.
empaths, and you made a joke about, and forgive me for misquoting this because I will, but
No,
it
I
was,
know the exact quote because we actually made it or David made
yes,
it into a poster.
David made it into a
The
poster.
quote was, you're not an empath, that's just
That's
trauma.
just trauma. And that stuck with me. I mean, A, it was funny as hell, but
Thank
B,
you.
it really stuck with me because it was something that um a lot of people had said to me
Oh
over the
yeah.
years was, you're
Oh,
such an
same.
empath. You think about the, and that when you really clarified that into
Yeah.
one specific sort of crystalline point of that's not empathy, that's trauma. Because it's a trauma
It
response to
is.
really pick up on all of those
Yeah.
cues,
It's
to really
fawn
be looking for
behavior
that. It
is
is,
what it's
it's
called. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, okay, no, that starts to explain some things and like I had a very blessed, lucky childhood,
Yeah.
obviously, but no one knew I was autistic, and that is its own
That's
form of
traumatizing.
trauma, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
no, nothing awful. My family's amazing. So like don't get that wrong. I just
Well, you can have trauma without having like abuse. So I think that's fine. But I get why you're clarifying because not
yeah,
everybody always, if you say you have a troubled childhood, they're like, but
exactly.
there's many traumas
Oh,
that are
so many
possible.
ways, right?
Right.
You know, nobody gets out of this. Well, A, nobody gets out of this alive, but B,
LOL.
nobody gets out of this without baggage, right? But
Yeah.
I just, the way Allie Therin has really highlighted the fact that empathy and trauma are so intrinsically linked
Right.
by showing that. She doesn't say
Yes.
it, but she shows it
Like
in
how
all of the
traumatizing it would be.
exactly, all of the empathic characters are so deeply traumatized.
Well, there's also this whole conversation about, the person who grew up as the therapist friend, and as someone who very nearly let that become my entire life,
Yeah.
if I hadn't gone off the trail at some point there, it's very traumatizing to be able to see it is a trauma response, but it is like additionally traumatizing. You learn how to see people's emotions because of trauma, and again,
Hmm.
I also had a very good family. But I had a family where multiple people had undiagnosed neurotypical neurodisorder. No, my God, neurodivergent, like blah 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 blah. Blah. Uh, my
How's that
mouth.
lack of caffeine coming?
I'm gonna honestly, I might make some coffee. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
I think it might need to happen. Let me make this point first. So,
Okay.
uh, growing up with a bunch of people with undiagnosed neurodivergence, like
Hmm.
both my parents, my older, probably two brothers at the very least, a lot of people in my life, really undiagnosed, myself included. I was the kind of neurodivergent where I could read people's emotions versus my other family members, all of them were the kind of neurodiverse where they couldn't. And so
Hmm.
it became like this, huge pressure. So even though it was a trauma response to develop the empathy, having the empathy then additionally traumatized me. And I do think that is like really shown in this book because all of the
Yeah.
empaths are not well. They're not
No.
doing good.
And I think you get to see in like you spend most of your time with Reese as far as the
Yes.
empaths go. So
Love
you get
him.
much more of a picture of him, but there are other empaths introduced. And so you don't get to spend as much time with them, but you
No.
do get to kind of get an image of their life and their sort of functionality and things like that. And so
Yeah.
for me and to my mind, you kind of get a picture of both of those um
Yeah.
options, where the
Yeah.
where the empathy is developed as a trauma response and where the empathy has become the trauma.
Trauma itself. It is very much both for Reese, but you're right, not everyone is that way in the
Hmm.
story. We don't meet a ton of true empaths yet.
No,
I'm excited because it looks like book 3 is going to have a lot of empaths in it, so
okay.
I'm stoked.
Also, before we get to like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the other thing that we need to talk about here
Yeah. Yes.
is the wild tonal shift that somehow
Jesus.
crazily works.
Allie Therin. We
Oh my
are
dear
Allie,
Lord
Allie,
Liege,
look, I don't
what the
know. I
hell?
don't know if you're
How?
gonna listen to this, but if you do, I want you to know this is with love, but what the fuck, dude?
Okay, but like also, we're not worthy. Like,
Oh, Allie, we often say in Charlie we trust. We absolutely say in David we trust.
yeah,
In Allie we
I
trust. In
in
Allie we
Ally we
trust.
trust.
And if we didn't trust, we would be rating your complex right now because what the fuck, dude?
I
Um,
just,
but
oh my
for those who
Lord.
are not already picking up on it, book 2 ends with the worst cliffhanger I have read in a hot
Okay,
minute.
okay. I am gonna clarify there because while you're not wrong, Allie, you
Yeah.
are also not 100% like being specific enough for my autistic brain,
Okay.
because it is like such a horrifying cliffhanger in
Oh
terms of
yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm gonna die because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
have
yeah.
this book in time. But the book also completely resolves everything that needs to
Oh
be
yeah.
resolved and then just says, ha, sorry about your
Fuck
luck.
you.
Fuck
Yeah,
you.
fuck you. Yeah, oh my God. But the way it does it, you're like, oh, everything's resolved. I don't like that because Because regardless, whether you're seeing
Yeah.
how many pages there are left or whether you're looking at your audiobook and how much percent you're left, you're like,
Yeah.
wait a
That's not a great
second.
sign. That's not a
Wait
great
a second.
sign.
Everything's fine. Why is
Yeah.
everything fine? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back to this. We can't, if we go off on this part now, we'll never come back.
No, it's true. It's
Um,
true.
uh, so let's stay with let's
The
stay in
tonal shift. Yeah.
empathy and everything. So, and the empaths, I think I mentioned this, are incapable. Well, asterisk, we'll come back to that. Are thought to be incapable of violence.
Yes.
And initially, at the first level of empathy that they're at, are incapable of violence.
Yes.
And I think this element is so interesting as someone who loves to play collaborative games, loves to play cozy games. The idea of having to solve problems with non-violence as this is part of it, like you can't not do it, is one of my favorite things. I am obsessed with games.
Yes.
I'm currently playing the new Zelda, Bronwyn. Oh my God.
Yep.
The Echoes of Wisdom is a game where you generally have to solve things non-violently. And I think it's the first Zelda game where that's true, but you have to be creative instead of violent. Like, because if you try to solve things with violence, you will lose, is the idea of the game. You can try, but you're gonna lose.
It's so great. And I because it forces that creativity, right? Like,
Yes.
and it's just such an interesting thing to see people think outside of this box.
Yes, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. One of the things I've started studying and teaching my students about is like, how do we transform our communication with each other into nonviolent communication? And it's such a shift because so much of our world, whether it's like physical violence or not, is a zero sum game energy.
Yes. And why?
And it doesn't need to be. And oh my God, listeners, if you have it, get on your little YouTube, go to TED Talks and watch the TED Talks about nonviolent communication. It is such a paradigm shift of oh yeah, the way we talk to each other is rather violent, even if there's a violence to it. How do we get away from that? And it's so different. And this book is that. How do we get away from solving everything with violence? We have to be smart about it. We have to be creative about it. We have to figure out what
Embrace collaboration.
Yes.
Embrace not being able to do it by yourself or being able to do it the first time. Embrace help.
Oh, it's so anti-capitalist. It's so anti-patriarchal. It's so anti-colonization. And I fucking love your book.
Yes. It's so good. And I just book one was one of the slowest burns I have ever read.
Oh yes, let's get into it.
And I love that. It was great. It was just this really
agonizing. There were points because I read it first and then thrust it upon you. There were points, since then I say that only to say that I wasn't able to, as often I do, be like, Bronwyn, is it happening? There were points when I was reading it where I was like, they were gonna fall in love, right? I'm not just reading into this shit, am I? It was so slow that even I wasn't sure it was happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then book two, and it's hilarious. So, okay, Chris read book one before me, but I definitely read book two before Chris.
Okay, but don't be dramatic about it. Let me be so clear. It was only a couple weeks. The book just came out, Bronwyn.
No, you don't get to say that to me.
I do.
You never get to say that to me, my drama liege. But
okay, fair enough. But I will say it really wasn't. For me, this is impressive.
This was only a couple of weeks for sure, but they were agonizing for one. And for two, the drama of the response live reaction I got to them reading this
Aren't you
book.
Glad you read it first?
Oh my God.
You wouldn't have got to enjoy my live reactions.
Didn't get to do a live reaction.
No, you didn't. It's true.
That makes me sad. But the live reaction were incredible.
In retrospect, you've said so little about this book. I should have taken it for the warning that it was.
Yes.
But we were both so collectively. This book just came out right at the end of my semester, which is why I hadn't read it. So I was like, I got a grade. I got to do holiday stuff. I just had no brain space for it at all, and I knew it would take over my life, and I was right.
Quite correct. Yes.
It turned out. But I will say, so it just came out. What the hell was my point? I distracted myself. Oh my God. What was I saying?
Glorious.
Oh my God. It's fled from my mind.
You were mocking me for my drama.
I love mocking you for your drama because I'm also dramatic. It's very fun.
Hmm.
But I don't think that was the point I was making right then.
Mm,
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know, listeners. I was
that's
going
okay.
somewhere, but we never arrived at that destination.
That's okay. We're gonna just circle back. We're
We'll
gonna
cir
circle
we'll
back.
we'll circle back end of day, you
We're gonna
know.
talk about how the addition of a character named the Dead Man. Okay.
Oh
I
my God.
want to really focus on the fact that Grayson, the dead man,
Can
the
I
empath hunter, the one with no
Oh,
quote
wait.
unquote emotion,
I know what I was gonna say.
the addition of this perspective to book
Yes.
two made it so fucking horny.
Yes.
Oh
Okay, wait.
my
Okay.
God.
Bookmark, because I did remember what I was gonna say. I
Excellent.
should have realized how little you said about that book was a
Yeah.
warning sign of how bad it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Because because I in my brain I was like, I guess she's just busy and that's why she hasn't told me about it. And then I started reading it and I was like, oh, you didn't because you couldn't.
I
You
could
literally
not.
could say nothing.
Nope.
Holy shit. But yes, no, I one of the first messages I sent you was I can't believe the only reason that this book was a slow burn is that we didn't know what the dead man was thinking the entire time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because apparently he spent the whole first book just horny for Reese, but we didn't know. So he's like in the first book, listeners, if you haven't read this book, in the first book, he's like so mysterious and so serious and so dark. And like Reese is constantly like, what's going on in his head? And then if you did that like inside out, like zoom in, all it would have been is my God, when he does that, it's so fucking cute. I just want to push him into the table and fuck him.
It's hilarious. Oh my
It
God.
is so funny. The dead man, Mr. I don't feel emotions, you fucking liar, was just every second around Reese, just in horny agony.
Yep. Yes. Oh my God. It is so funny. Like
So
I
funny.
did mention one or two things that I was reading it, but mostly just
Yeah.
like
No, not
I
enough
can't,
though.
I'm
Like,
like trying to be as generic as
well, because
possible.
usually if you're reading a book ahead of me, like even with like Rogue Community College or whatever, you say more than you did with this book. Even like not spoiler stuff, but like what you're feeling. You weren't even telling me what you felt about this book, and I didn't
No,
realize that was because this would be a spoiler too.
literally the only thing I think I said, I think this is literally the only thing I said, and quote, I said,
Yes.
okay, not to fully change the conversational direction on y'all, but I'm gonna take a radical Louis here and let you both know that this Allie Therin book is life-giving and you need to get on it. If
You
for
said
no other reason than to listen to Joel Leslie say, or had his brain short-circuited at the idea of being tossed around in a friendly hypothetical hate fuck.
yes. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. That was the only thing I remembered was you said at one point that there was that quote, and then at one point you said the slow burn is not slow anymore. And that was the only 2 points of information I had going in. But
Yeah.
but that did not give away to me the degree of immediate horniness that the second book. It's so funny. So, okay, we haven't said this yet this episode, which is really proof that we're on a much different vibe than past episodes. But
Uh-huh.
I am Reese and you are Grayson, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Oh, hardcore. Yeah. 100%.
I was reading it this week after I read it on my road trip. Those who follow me in the various social medias have seen many a picture. Especially of my paranormal museum, which has ended up on all of my different socials. So go check that out. But I was reading it, so I read all the way through Liar City and Twisted Shadows in the course of a 5-day road trip,
Hmm.
back to back with some other amazing books also, bookmarking those two. But so I spent a collective like 16 hours just vibing with these people.
And I spent that 16 hours howling with laughter at the response that I was getting
And it was
on my
all
chat.
because I was driving. All of it was like unhinged voice dictation,
Yeah.
um, including me trying to figure out how to describe an emoji so that my thing would send various emojis. It was great. It was a good time.
Oh my God. It is hilarious. Like there
Yeah.
are a couple. So in the first book, I'm very much Grayson and you're very much Reese. Like there's just no
Yes.
question.
Yeah,
In
it's
the
still true in the
second,
second one, but yes.
in the second one, it's like more of a 65, like I'm only about 65% Grayson. I'm definitely Grayson, but I see myself in other characters, including Reese.
Okay, okay.
So,
Yeah.
more than I did in the first book. But like,
I'm 100% Reese both books is the
yeah,
thing.
yes. But like Reese with his anti-anxiety arts and crafts.
Oh yeah, that's a you energy for sure. But I do that
Oh
too,
yeah.
so it's both of us.
Yeah.
No, but so okay, so this particular road trip, for reasons I will not get into, I was pretty emotional about some things. And so then to like check into Reese's brain and his like emotional journey, I
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit." In the same way that I feel about Cooper from
Hmm.
Gay Wolf book, where I'm like, "Oh, I need to read these books when I am not well because they heal me."
Yeah, it's such a corrective emotional
It really
experience.
is. It is. It is.
Oh God.
To have somebody as Grayson does in both books, but then you don't really understand how much it is meant until the second book. But to have
Hmm.
somebody be like, "You're not too much, and I actually will throw down with anyone who said that to you. Give me names," is a very corrective emotional experience.
Oh, right. Like the way, okay, the way he said there was the like at the border, he says,
Yes.
"Oh, I can't believe he actually thought you were my boyfriend though." And Grayson says, "I know. Hell, thought I could bag a guy like you."
Oh, I know, I know, I know, I know. And the one I was specifically thinking of too is the one where he's like, I will never find you being yourself annoying.
Right?
I cry. This he loves him
I
so
know.
much,
And
so
he just
much.
he hasn't lost his feelings. He's lost his ability to recognize his feelings. He's just
Yes,
basically been turned autistic. Like
I
he
was gonna
doesn't.
say.
I'm like, dude,
No, but really, they gave
look,
the empaths gave him autism.
there are things you can do for this. I promise, buddy. You cognitive behavioral therapy. Write it down.
My
Write it
favorite
down.
my favorite thing in the world is in the second book when we're getting to know Grayson more. Jamie, which is Reese's sister, his badass sister, also gets to know Grayson more, and she repeatedly just like calls him out on the fact that she's like, "Are you sure you can't?" He's like, "I can't feel emotion." She's like, "Oh,
Um,
what was that then? Explain what that was." And he finally at the end has to admit it because she's like, "You felt something, didn't you, honey?"
he's like, well, I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just horniness. I don't love him. I don't love everything about him. I don't think about him and think he's cute. I don't compromise my, my goals and achievements for him. Never. That's not
Right?
me.
No, I don't know what you're talking
He is
about.
such a secret softie. And I think I am sad for those who don't have the year break that we did of just living with the version of the dead man we thought we had, to then just be so shook by how much of a softie he was in real life.
Right? Oh my God. It
It's
was
so
so
good.
great. And then, okay, one of your quotes that I loved so much.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I'm reading as many of these as I can. I'm not going to
R.I.P.
lie. We're
me.
going to do
I mean,
quotes,
it's
but I'm
fine.
quoting you from the
I
book.
don't
Like,
have shame anymore, so it's
no,
fine.
it's not a thing. I love, okay, excuse me. Grayson joking about fucking Reese, all caps, FYI. Then
Yeah.
the quote, you don't know the difference between a threat and a good time. I mean, yes. But also,
That's so
just
true.
read the gym scene in public, Bronwyn.
No, okay. No, we have to talk about that.
I know.
Okay, so as I said, I was mostly reading this on my road trip, but I arrived at my destination. So I was trying to get some food at the hotel restaurant, minding my own innocent little business, when the horniest scene of the entire series comes on. Luckily, I mean, I'm not a monster. I was listening to it in my headphones, but I was sitting there like, oh, and it was so funny though, because I was amused by listening to the horniness in public, but the cuteness was actually about to make me vomit in public. I was like, this is so sweet. I was like kicking my feet and giggling, and I'm like, I'm in public. So apparently, I can read smut with a stone cold straight face, but if you are kind to another character, I'm gonna die, actually. Like, this is what
Right?
kills me.
Like my face hurt from smiling.
Oh, they're so
They're
sweet.
so cute. I cannot. It is, but it's
It's
not saccharine. It's just
no, it's just
sweetness. It's
perfect.
just sort of genuine, which is
It's so there's like several the gem moment. Basically, they're like hitting on each other so hard while both being in denial that they like each other. It's
hmm
really idiots in love. They are dumb, dumb
which you
dummies.
know how I feel about that.
We do know. We do know. It is well documented. It's in the
Yes.
intro still.
It's
The
exactly.
the intro has changed, but that part's still there. Um, oh my
I also
God.
love how you referred to the mysterious new character in book two as Chekhov's Texan accent.
Okay, but hear me out. So again, we're spoiler. This is the point in the episode. This is your turn back point if
Yes.
you want to go read them before, because I'm going to spoil the hell out of it. I couldn't tell at first whether it was supposed to be obvious or not that that was his brother. And then when they like didn't reveal it because it just was everybody was like, "Oh, that's his brother." I was like, "Okay, so I didn't figure shit out." I connected nothing. It was just there.
That is
Um
hilarious and I love it. That's
well,
really funny.
I am not like you. I am not great at guessing where things are going. I am
Mhm.
just a lamb being led along when I'm reading a book.
I love that.
I'm not, it's not like it always shocks me. Sometimes I just have no, like, either way. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what's happening. But I am often shocked. Just genuinely, like, I'm on the journey. And so I get excited when I figure things out. And I'm like, ooh, I bet this is his brother. And then it was like, yeah, no shit.
Like, did you think we were hiding that?
No, it's not like it made it so obvious, but also like Chekhov's Texan accent. It is really funny that there's literally no one in these books that have a Southern accent other than these two brothers. So
I
the book's
know,
very much like, hey, these are related because Texan accent. They must be the same
right?
family.
It's not like it's a huge state or anything.
No, it's not like there's many, many people with accents. And there's no one else even with a Southern accent because it comes up. Even Reese is like, you think I can tell whether he's from Texas or not?
Right? Like, but it's true because it's set in Seattle.
It's true. It's true. He's not bad. As somebody who lives a little closer to the Mason-Dixon line, I've heard a lot of variants on the Southern accent. So,
Yep. Fair. Fair.
but yeah, but no, I do get that. It's very cute. Please
So
carry on. You can read more
so funny.
my
Okay.
horrifying quotes to me.
Um, Gretel, it's like his brain doesn't work. So true, bestie. I
That was
died. I laughed.
that was
Oh,
about Reese.
yep.
And again, I relate to this man. This man
Yeah.
has empathy, but he also has ADHD that's undiagnosed.
Yeah, a little bit. Little bit. Yeah. I also you got very much into the way everyone was shipping Reese and Grayson.
It's so funny, okay?
I think it's hilarious how all of the fake empaths at the empath bar, which also I love.
Me too.
I love, 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 love that little detail.
Me
Because
too.
of course, if you're going to vilify something, there's going to be an underground market for it.
There's gonna be kink.
There's
There
going
will
to
be
be
kink.
kink. And I fucking love
I
that.
do too. It's so fun.
I
Yeah,
especially love in the first book how everybody's like, "Oh, you'd make a great empath."
I
Reese is like, "I
I
am an
am.
empath."
And then they're like, actually, you're not nice enough, which is so funny because he is the actual empath.
Yeah,
They were
I
like, I
died.
thought empaths are supposed to be nice. It's really great. I love that that little community of the fake empaths becomes the found family in the second
Right?
book. It's like, I love it. This book is not vilifying, like, it's not yucking or yum. It's totally cute that you have an empath kink. It's gorgeous. We love it.
Yeah.
Also, this series makes it very explicit that empathy would make you an excellent lover,
hmm
which Mr. Horny Grayson repeatedly thinks as he's like, how is he single? Do people not know how good at fucking empaths
Oh my God,
are?
hilarious.
So funny. So funny.
I love how explicit he is. Oh, and then oh my God, this one might actually be my favorite. You're like, this man's about to get himself kidnapped, huh? And then the immediate next comment is, oh no, he really is.
Well, yes. There was definitely a moment of like, this dumbass. And then the dumbass did, in fact,
Yep.
do it. It was, yeah. You made that point in your blurb that, like, if it came down to it, he would rather himself be hurt in any way, then anyone be mildly inconvenienced.
Yeah.
And so at one point, they even are like tell him, you need to not be alone, because as an empath, if somebody said it would hurt their feelings for you to not come with them, you would. And he's like, yep, message received. And then immediately does exactly that.
Yep. Immediately.
Again, like Gretel said, it's like his brain doesn't work.
And then I said, the way I want to bind all of this into an annotated version of this book. And then you didn't respond for a few minutes because you said you stopped commenting because you were on the no break scene and it was too intense to pause.
I wasn't even driving at that point. I
Nope.
was literally sitting, it's probably in the quotes.
It
I was
is.
sitting on the floor of a hotel bathroom. I did spit out a towel. It's okay. But I was sitting on the floor of the hotel bathroom because I was trying to get in the shower and that scene started and I was like, well, I'm sitting right here and I'm going to wait till the scene is over.
Yep. And then you said, Allie Therin, you maniac. I'm like halfway done the book I just started after I arrived here.
It's true. It is true.
Oh, God. And then worried that he'd become corrupted by being hangry.
That was a great point. So all the way through the book, Grayson is trying to find like what is going to cause him to go evil or whatever, because he's really worried that Reese will go evil, because that is a thing that happens, which I do want to talk about. Bookmark that for me, Bronwyn. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Using your brain for this because my brain is not going to do it.
I've already forgotten, so you better bookmark it again.
God damn it. Bookmarking the empathy turning evil thing.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But he is genuinely like, I'm not sure what all the triggers are, so I'm looking for any trigger. And so he's like, look at the big things, like let's not expose him to violence or whatever. But at one point he's like, I gotta make sure he stays fed. What if hangry is the reason? And that is like an honest to God quote from the book.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Oh, God, it's so cute. And I said, this book effing slays right up to the end, and I'm dead. Waiting for you to get there is agony. And you said, help. And I said, you help me. I need big kudos for how restrained I've been about this.
And I gave you kudos and then told you I was furious at you.
No, actually, what you said was, bah, ha, ha, they better bang.
You're right. You're right. At some point during this exchange, I started talking to our friend Ceary, S.W. Sondheimer. And Ceary didn't realize I wasn't finished and said something vaguely spoiler to me, but I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. So it was like a spoiler, except I didn't understand it until after I'd already finished.
Nice.
I know. I heard it. So I just want to appreciate that she spoiled the ending for me, except that it was so confusing for the point that I was in the book that it didn't spoil the ending for me.
Which is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. She just said, we're going to have to save baby girl. And I was like, any of these people could be baby girl.
Right? Well, that is true, but
I genuinely thought she meant Grayson, because in my mind, Grayson is baby girl.
I mean, I can see that. So
he sometimes is daddy and sometimes he is baby girl.
Well, and you know what? Honestly, it's hilarious because I'm super old and had to have baby girl explained to me. But now that I have,
he is baby girl. Yeah.
He is kind of baby girl. I'm not gonna lie.
Baby girl. The baby girlification of the dead man, you know.
But we do need to talk about how you left off one of the major, I think, tags for these.
Did I?
Yes.
Remind me. What did I not
Emotional blue balls.
Oh, that's true. The blue balls, because the slow burn definitely speeds up, but the blue balls don't stop for almost the rest of the second book. It's rough, man. But man, by the time they do fuck, woo!
Yeah. They've earned it.
They have earned it, and so have we.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, and can we also talk about the word hypothetically and how it makes me laugh so hard now?
Oh my God. You know, in our chats, I don't think we've joked about this on the show. In our chats, we have joked about the meme of which might mean nothing.
Yes.
And hypothetically reminds me of that. So for listeners who don't know, there's been much speculation over the last, I don't know, 25 years or whatever since Ben Affleck and Matt Damon came on the scene together about whether they come on the scene together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got proud of that. There's been a lot of speculation about whether they fucking to make it more explicit.
Mm.
And there was one headline recently, this was like earlier this year, that has become a meme that is my favorite meme of 2024, which was a headline that said Ben Affleck seen leaving Matt Damon's house without his ring on, comma, which might mean nothing. So funny. So now,
Oh,
so
glorious.
now people will like, they'll do a movie review of the movie Challengers where the two men are making out and put under it, which might mean nothing. Like they'll do like Saltburn with it's like Jacob Elordi and Barry Keoghan staring at each other and have like it, which might mean nothing. So it's
Yeah.
become like, it's gay. It's, the no homo of headlines. Uh, and hypothetically has that exact energy. So
Mhm.
throughout the book, they in their own heads at first, and then literally out loud to each other, will talk about hypothetically wanting to fuck each other, and their no homo get out of jail free card is to add hypothetically on the end, and is so funny.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
And
At
they
what
both say it.
and they
Like,
both say it, and they say it in unison at one point. And the gym scene specifically, they literally are like, it makes me think about bending you over the table, hypothetically.
hypothetically.
Like, what? In what world? In what world can you continue to be in this much denial? But in that world, because they were.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh my God. It is hilarious. The two of them vibing with each other, it makes me
Oh my
so
God.
happy. Like everything Grayson does to
Yeah.
make Reese more comfortable.
Oh, that is love. I tell you what.
It's so sweet. Like, this is the stuff that you look for in a partner. Like, this is the
Yes.
stuff that when your partner does that for you, you are so grateful. It is tough to find.
And it's the little things, right? It's those like making sure he stays fed, knowing that like he can't watch sports in front of him because sports are too violent. All of these like subtle little things. And my favorite one is that he calls him, and this starts in the first book, but doesn't have the horny implications that it does later. He calls him
Hmm.
Care Bear.
Yeah.
And
And then
it's like,
like, Reese assumes he calls all empaths Care
which is
Bear.
insane. Because what?
Yeah.
In what world would that be a true thing that's happening? But yes, he does. And then he finds out in the second book that no, just you. That's your nickname that I came up with for you. And then he
Yeah.
starts calling him variants on Care Bear, and it cracks me up because sometimes he's like Despair Bear
Sometimes
and
he's bad decisions
Bad
bear.
Decision Bear. Again, the moments I relate to
Yeah.
Reese a little too much. But then at one point they go on a spontaneous road trip to Canada.
Hmm.
And he has to buy him clothes, and he buys him a bear hat. And it's on the one
Yeah.
perspective, it's Reese being like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But then shifts to, you know what? Ha, I'm gonna just own it because then you'll be embarrassed by being around me, blah, blah, blah. And it switches to Grayson's point of view. And Grayson is just sitting there like biting his fist, like, oh my God, he's so cute. He's like
Yep.
soothing his ever loving shit about how adorable Reese is.
It is so, so cute. And I gotta tell you, Steve and I have bear hats like that,
You know you do, and I
and
love it.
they are the cutest, and I love them.
That is so charming.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Got them
I
in
love it.
Niagara Falls, and yeah, they definitely are the cutest things. So I can confirm.
Okay, I want you to be so impressed with me right now because I'm about to pick up the thread that I put down. I
Ooh,
remembered.
the empathy going to
Picked it up.
evil?
So, okay. So I've been thinking about this basically nonstop in the like full few days it's been since I finished this, but it's only been a few days, you guys. I pretty
Mm-hmm.
much was like, we have to record immediately because I need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
But in the few days it's been since I finished this book, I've been thinking about the metaphor, right? Because the first book, that metaphor has lived in my mind rent free, taking up office space,
Mm-hmm.
about, empathy as something we demonize and how fitting that is for this culture we live in. And so then the second book being about when empathy turns evil, at first I was like, okay, Allie, what are you trying to say? And I do think I've arrived at the answer.
Oh, yes. Okay, because All right, I want to hear this because I went on a different journey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very curious to hear your journey. The journey I went on was like, what is it, what is it saying? You know, oh my God, did you hear that?
No.
Nightly, did you meow directly into the microphone? Hi, sweet thing. I hope that picked up for you listeners because it was very cute. Hi. Hi, you're interrupting the recording, sweet dear. He's like, do I look like I care? Anyway. Anyway, I was, at first blush, being that the metaphor is like empathy being demonized, it might seem problematic that then to have them be their empathy can drive them insane or make them particularly evil. Oh my God. Okay, here you go. Say it into the mic. Oh, now you don't want to meow? He's rubbing against the mic. Do it for the show. No, he says no.
No.
All right. Well, sir, rude.
He's like, I don't perform on cue. You should know this.
He's just gently rubbing his chin against the microphone. Okay.
Oh,
He's
baby.
being such a baby. So sweet. All right. Ah, focus. Come on, we can do it.
Yes. Okay. Demonizing empathy. Check.
Yes. So, what really occurred to me, and I'm gonna like attempt to say the thing that hasn't fully like calcified in my brain yet. So go with me.
I am here and waiting.
It kind of made me think about how we have a lot of discussions, especially I would say since 2020, but 2016, but like 2020 especially, about what it looks like to be in resistance. And how there's a lot of like respectability politics around you have to be, they go low, we go high.
Yep.
Versus where we're at now in 2025, we've had a lot of discussions of like, actually, sometimes when they go low, we go subterranean.
Yeah.
Because you can't be good enough to be accepted. You can never be perfect enough of a marginalized person to be loved by the people that are oppressing you. That's just not what oppression is.
I'm sorry to interrupt because that is a perfect quote. But I have to tell you that it is exactly the moment, and I just rewatched this in Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah?
Of Reese Witherspoon in the bunny costume at the party, where she's, doing her thing to try and get the man back, who was a total waste of skin. And he's like, well, Pooh Bear, you're not smart enough. And she's like, I'm never going to be good enough for you, am I?
There's nothing I could ever do that's going to be enough.
No.
Exactly that.
And that is when she does that shift, and she realizes that this isn't where I need to be focused, because that's not, I need to be doing stuff for me, because doing stuff for him is ridiculous.
Right. And we are right now in this like moment of collective
we need to bend and snap.
Right. Yes. Well, we're in the US specifically, we're in this moment of like collective class consciousness. We have, and I'm not gonna I have a lot of feelings and thoughts on this matter, and I'm not gonna go into them, but I think it would be insane of me not to reference it given what we're talking about.
I agree.
You know where I'm going. So Luigi Mangiano, allegedly, I'm gonna throw out there, we're in the middle of this case, so we're gonna keep saying allegedly. Hypothetically shot a CEO, and people are of a particularly what's the word, like
evil.
Yes, I was gonna say exploitative, but yes, evil. A particularly evil healthcare organization that was using AI to decide who gets to live or die. Which sounds like a plot that would be in Liar City, if I'm totally honest. And so we're having this whole discussion as a society over like, how do we feel about what happened? And a lot of it has gone back to, why do we expect revolutions to be bloodless?
Yeah.
So all of that to say, this was the journey my brain went on as I was reading this, because when you are a person who cares about the world, when you are empathetic, and then your empathy isn't enough because they're genuine evil people. evil companies, evil systems, but also genuinely evil people. Like the people at the
Mm-hmm.
top of these systems are genuinely evil. To then, it takes those people who are empathetic and it does do something to you. And I'm not saying that we're all going to snap and like put people in the guillotine, but I do think people snap. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is part of it. You know, I've always been someone who truly thinks that we needed to have civil rights. We needed both the people that threw the bricks and the people that ran for politics. Like we
Mm-hmm.
needed both the people who, the drag queens at Stonewall and Harvey Milk. We needed both,
Yeah.
or we needed both Martin Luther King Jr. and we needed Malcolm X.
Malcolm
Like I don't
X. Yeah.
think and to put it back in to like pull it out of our world a little bit more, we need both Professor X and Magneto. Like we
Yes.
can't achieve progress without both. And I'm going to lean into the X-Men of this all. I think that's what the Krakoa era of X-Men has been about, right?
Yeah.
Like we actually can't just win by being better people, by
No.
being kinder, by being more empathetic. At a certain point, violence becomes part of it because it's violence that you're fighting and nobody wants that, and it's not good, but
No.
it's also might be necessary. And
Well,
yeah,
go
okay, wait a
ahead. No,
second, let me
finish your
land the
thought.
plane.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So with this metaphor and like what I think Allie is going for here is they they are oh my god, yes, meow, go for it, right into the mic. Did you hear it that time?
No, sorry.
Well, he did it right into the mic that time. Oh well. I don't know if it just didn't pick it up, but hopefully the listeners got to hear it because he leaned into the mic and meowed.
This is so cute.
You were so sweet. You want to be on the show too. I get it. You're doing great, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think like a little bit of what's going on is at the end, because I have to explain what actually happens. It would be useful. At the end, Reese sacrifices his goodness because he doesn't see another option. And he literally is like, I will die. And Grayson's gonna have to kill me, but that's the only way to stop these people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out because Reese is too powerful and Grayson has feelings and doesn't kill him. So he doesn't stop him like he intended to. And, things KO into chaos. And Reese is like having his, for the Teen Wolf fans out there, he's having his Void Styles moment of going completely evil. But I do think like there is a level where when you're in these situations, there is like the people that will sacrifice themselves and their inherent values and their goodness to push things forward. And that's where I got with it. So
Okay.
carry on.
All right. I agree with what you've said. Like, no question.
Yes.
I had a different journey.
Oh, please tell me. And there's
Okay.
probably multiple things. There can
Yes.
be multiple outrages.
Right? Um, and maybe this is because my empathy has already been broken. I don't know. Like,
Tell me.
I'm
Let's
older than
go.
you, right? So,
Fair enough.
I, okay. The first book, as you said, came out so long ago that we've been sitting with that
Yeah.
story for so long.
Yes.
And it was, for lack of a better term, a little bit more like black and white in its
Yeah.
presentation than book two.
And I think intentionally, I will
Intentionally,
say.
100%,
Because I think
100%,
it
I
was
agree.
very much like, let's present the black and white and then let's
And
break
then
it
let's
open.
mess it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I love
and
that.
I love that as a journey for sure. And I agree that it was intentional. I think it's too well done to not
Yeah.
be, for sure, for sure, for sure.
And there was too much groundwork laid.
Yeah.
Like when things happened, it's obvious they've
Yep.
been intended since the beginning. Yeah.
100%. So I'm with you on that one. But even with the black and white presentation and the lack of information of book two, for the last year, I've had this story in my head in the same way you have, but I haven't
Yeah.
really been. I know that the idea was to present this as sort of to break it down simply, a fuck around and find out. You know,
Sure.
the we have the empaths, everybody's afraid of them. The idea being that empaths threaten our autonomy. We can't consent to, or we don't consent to them seeing our feelings, our emotions. So they threaten our independence. Like this is a very of the moment thing because it's a ludicrous argument that can be dressed up to look logical. So it's again very timely, very now.
Right.
But it falls apart as soon
100%.
as you start, which is
Oh,
amazing. I think
100%.
again, intentional. Like that's 100% intentional.
100%. Yeah.
So it's a perfect metaphor for today.
Agreed. Yeah.
And the idea being, and again, full spoilers at this stage. We're in spoiler territory. We are in it. In it.
I already said how the book ended. I think we're way
Oh, well,
past
I'm gonna spoil book one, right? So
Okay.
yes, you turn your volume up or whatever. Steve is reading book one currently.
Aw.
The the person who is responsible, for all of the kind of carnage and whatever happens is, a corrupted empath.
Yes.
And they were corrupted by the people that they then
Right.
destroyed.
Right.
So the whole simplified version of this is if you corrupt empathy, it becomes evil. But that's not how I interpreted it.
That's not how I interpreted it either. So I think we actually might be saying the same thing, but go
The
ahead.
same thing, but yeah, exactly. So like I don't see that I don't see that as evil. I see that as John Wick.
Yeah. I hear you. That's not, I wasn't, I don't think I was saying that it was evil. I'm actually saying that it was necessary.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, no, 100%. I feel yeah. Again, I feel
think
like we arrived at the same place, but it's maybe slightly different
journeys.
directions, right? I was feeling very sort of like I'm cheering for you a little bit, but quietly because at the end of book one, it wasn't really.
Having just reread it, I will say, I think, and maybe that is the lens of having reread it and then immediately gone to the next one. I think it's there even then because Grayson very much like makes it clear at the end of the book that he does not see her as the villain.
Right?
He sees Stone Industries as the villain.
And he is, yeah, exactly.
And he's right. Like they were the ones that did it. And in the second book, he is like more explicitly is like, if we leave them alone, this would never happen.
And so this is where I come from with the fuck around and find out because they are quite deliberately fucking around, and this is what they're finding out.
It's so heartbreaking.
But it's not. Yeah, it is because these people have done nothing wrong. They have literally done nothing wrong because they find it antithetical to who they are to do something wrong.
Yes.
All they want to do is help. All they want to do is leave the world better. All they want to do is make people feel better.
And this is it, right? And I think maybe why I arrived at it the way I did was because this feels like my own journey over the last few years, where I am a pacifist. Like I genuinely feel very similarly to early book Reese. And to then have been in a place where I was pushed to have to fight back against things, is not my nature. I get it, right? Like, because you're inherently a pacifist, but you will make someone bleed if necessary.
Well, and this is it. This is exactly it, right? Like, this is kind of where I find the lens on society so apropos for me, particularly because it highlights the hypocrisy that I find so frustrating. Which I imagine everyone finds frustrating. For me, it's like this itch I can't get at, where somebody can look you dead in the face and say, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Right.
Keep my guns. And then turn around and blame the person they've weaponized.
Yes. Yeah, I
like
know.
That. So like you're turning this empath into a gun. You have literally done everything in your power to take away their autonomy, to take away all the things that you say you value.
Yeah.
Because you don't see them as a person. You see them as less than a person. And because they're less than you,
right,
they don't matter.
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you can do everything to them that you don't want done to you,
Yeah. I
and
think
then
this,
blame them for reacting poorly. And that's where it comes into that reaction,
yeah.
that politeness politics.
Yeah.
Like
I think,
that shit drives me bonkers.
oh,
Like
I know.
you
Yeah.
can say anything you want, but if I call you out, I'm the bad guy.
Right. Like we're supposed to be always better. It is, yeah, it's never enough. It's never going to work.
Spaceballs, man.
I know,
Evil
right?
will always triumph because good is dumb.
And I think, yeah, big feelings. I think that is the inherent tragedy of the end of this book too, where you're like, and obviously it's not the end, and this is not going to be a tragedy, right, Allie? I say with
Well,
knife in hand.
okay, and again, but that comes down to my point of it. I don't see this as tragic.
Oh, I do, and I let me explain why. I didn't
Okay.
finish. It is tragic. It is tragic because something beautiful and soft has been lost for all three of them.
Yeah.
So we get stories about Alex, which is Grayson's little brother, and how he was the kid that would climb into his big brother's bed and comfort him. We get stories about Cora, who was this therapist that and talk about hitting me where we live, right?
Yeah.
Is a therapist who then had her life ruined. What's that like?
Yeah.
And then, Reese, who we see is this such an incredible person throughout the first book. And so the tragedy is not like the tragedy is not that they were able to break and become stronger because like, yeah, more power to them. The tragedy is that they had to
So
because we should have been able to be soft. And I think that is tragic. That's so sad. As someone who has had to lose a lot of my
yeah.
softness, I think I feel that very deeply of like I wish if I had been left alone, I could have been a different person than I
Yeah.
am.
But okay, so I get that, and I do. I see that. I see that as, and it's totally 100% a valid perspective. I have a different one.
Right.
But I see that, and I think I would have felt that way maybe in a different stage of my life.
Mm,
For me, Cora and Alex are tragic stories, and Reese is not.
mm.
Because Reese makes a conscious and autonomous decision.
Yeah, I guess, well, maybe I'm just projecting forward because I'm like, it when he gets better, a little bit better, and I think that what better is going to look like is going to be I'm very curious because I don't think he'll ever go back fully. We don't ever go back fully, right? Healing does not mean going back to who you are beforehand. So I'm
No,
curious what healing is going to look like for him. But
I think
when
it's
he
interesting.
does,
Yeah.
I think he will be genuinely sad about the pain he's caused because that's who he was as a person. Right? There's the people screaming,
I
there's the
yes, I
fire
agree.
burning. Like that's the tragedy for me is that he's going to have to live with the guilt that shouldn't have ever been his, and that makes me sad because again, I think I've seen myself
I
so
think that
hard in
that
Reese.
is human, and I think it can be beautiful. I
I think,
I
but being
I
human's
just
tragic. I think we're disagreeing on what tragic means. I don't mean tragic like it can't ever be good. I just mean it's tragic
no,
to
no, no, I
lose
know.
something.
I don't think that I for me tragic implies a lack. I don't know. And you're right. We may be just disagreeing on what tragic means.
Yeah,
I just don't
I
see
think
it
it's
that way
sad. Let's put it
because
that way. I think it is genuinely sad that this is where things have had to end up. But also, I appreciate that he chose it. I think I was rooting for it. You can read
well,
my
and like
text
I
message
don't
at that time.
see I don't see this as um a negative change for any of them particularly. Like I don't it makes like they were initially presented as these sort of ravening monsters,
Hmm.
when it was like, okay, you're this empath, and then there's this intense tragedy, and then there's this switch, and now you're this thoughtless beast intent on
Hmm.
violence.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I don't think that either.
the more we get through the story, the more we kind of interact with these empaths, we get the nuance, and I
Yeah,
love the way
but
that's presented.
there
I
is
love,
like a
can I,
twist.
can
Oh,
I,
sorry. Yeah.
um, and I really enjoy the way we kind of get to see, especially how it's presented through Alex, because he's the one who's been
Yeah,
corrupted, quote
I
unquote, the
know.
longest, right? Where
Yeah.
he's extremely thoughtful. He does
Yeah.
not attack anyone who doesn't deserve it. And
Well, they
yes,
do.
you can do some questions about who has the right to be judge and jury and stuff like that, obviously, but who does? Like, if not them, who are the victims of these people, then who?
Well, I agree. First of all, I was totally rooting for Reese to like go all avenging angel. I think what's sad to me at the ending is that there is innocent casualties of what they're doing. There's tons of innocent casualties because at a certain point that the hurt, and I think this is very real, right? The hurt becomes so much that there is like rational decisions being made, but Reese is not totally rational at the end. When he is talking to Grayson, he was willing to let Grayson get hurt. Like he had lost the plot of why he
Yeah.
chose this to begin with. That's the part I'm thinking is sad. Was like when
Yeah.
at a certain point, and this is just trauma, right? Like
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
quote the like hurt people, but like right, like when you are like processing your trauma, when you're in that stage where
Yeah.
you're like exploding on everyone, and because they also have that projection ability where their feelings are projecting on anyone. So powerful, by the way. I love that metaphor.
Yes.
Also,
Agreed.
they're like walking through a city and everyone in the city is crying out, like they are
Yeah.
actually kaijuing around the city a little bit. That's the part
true.
I find sad.
Yeah.
Not that like, oh yeah, no, fuck up the CEOs, but it doesn't stay there. And I think
Yeah.
that's the balance. And I'm curious the third book, how we're going to arrive at that balance, because I think we will.
Oh,
Of
I agree. And I think it's going to involve interacting with the siblings
I think it has to, yeah. Yeah.
or found family or however, like absolutely that balance. Because
Yeah.
this is straight up like what, and forgive me, because I'm going to say something deeply controversial here.
Ooh.
Deeply, deeply
Ooh.
controversial.
Okay.
Okay.
Buckling in.
So yeah, sit down, grab onto your butts.
Butts
This
grabbed.
has done correctly what Star Wars failed to do with Jedis.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Sorry. I thought this was actually going to be something controversial.
I mean,
everybody is mad about Jedis all the time. That's normal.
yeah, but then you get the Star Wars bros in here, and then
But they're just mad about different parts. I think being mad about Star Wars is part about being a fan of Star Wars.
True. But like, honest to God, like the whole Jedi Sith thing is so embarrassing. Like it's so embarrassing.
Which is why here's real controversy. Ready? Is why I actually think The Last Jedi is one of the best movies and not the worst, but they ruined it immediately afterward.
Fair enough.
Because they were like, what if the Jedi aren't actually good guys? And then fucking J.J. Abrams is like, shit.
Yep. No, I agree. Because they aren't. They can't be. But anyway, doesn't matter. Allie has done it correctly.
I agree.
So that to me is
I agree.
Is a huge
to put
win.
the button on our last conversation though, I do think we both were saying the exact same thing. We just were not saying it to each other in a clear way, because now I'm like, I think we arrived at the same location again.
Yeah, again, I think we were always at the same place. It was just from different directions.
My GPS took me through this weird back road, but now we're here. But I think to me that ending is genuinely so sad, not because I don't think it'll go somewhere good or even because I don't want it to have happened, but because I think my empathy was running a bit wild because I feel so much like Reese.
I know.
And I have been in the place of like hurting people because I've been so hurt. And I don't think I'm there now, thank God, but like I definitely have been.
True of us all.
Yeah, right. May we all at least be able to notice it at some point.
Yeah, right.
So I think that is what's tragic to me, because I was like, I've been through this just like 2 years ago. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe. Also, while we're talking, I thought you were going to say this a second ago when you brought up the siblings thing. They are glass children as a metaphor. So the idea of glass children, if you're a new listener, if you're not a new listener, you're like, we know, because we bring it up so often on the show.
Exactly.
But if you are a new listener, the idea of glass children is this idea that you are a sibling of somebody who has mental health conditions, is neurodiverse, something like that. And the siblings often become like better, stronger, faster, all of that stuff to compensate. They become like perfect little children. It's very stressful for the child because you shouldn't ever have to do that. And they don't have to do it, but you feel like you have to do it.
Exactly.
And I love that Allie Therin was like, bet, and now I'm gonna make it magic. So she has Grayson for Alex and Jamie for Reese, and even like there's another sibling pair we get briefly, though
Yep.
they're Marleys, they're dead to begin with in the story, but we get them described, and basically they are like, as a response to having this empath sibling, they become protectors. They become, so skilled, so badass, and whatever. And I love that. I love that we made class sibling literal in this.
I know, right?
Yeah, I love it. There's also a really fun thing that I feel like we can dive into for approximately the next 5 hours. Which is I know, right? Which is the oh my God, what is the words? Words are failing
They're the
me.
worst. You know me.
Ugh! Nope. 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 They're just all not there. Oh,
Oh.
the science, which is a particular bugaboo of mine, and I love how it's presented in this, where
Oh.
very much so, like the people doing the science, when it's done by the oppressors, it has a biased lens, but it is presented as objective scientific fact,
I
and
hate
they're
that.
oh, I know. I've had so many arguments with dude bros in the science fields where like, but science is objective. And I'm like, yes, science is objective, but we are not.
No.
And we're the
So
ones doing science.
okay, right off the bat, I'm sorry. Right off the bat, any dude bro who comes up to anyone and says, anyone at all who does this, but who
But it's
says,
always dude
it's always a
bros.
dude bro, who says science is objective. Right off the bat, they are failing at their own,
Literally.
because it's not, science is not a thing. It's not a monolith. It's not a
Right.
process. It's not a
It's a
religion.
thing
It's
we
not,
do.
it's a scientific method.
It's a
It's a
tool.
method. It's a method of approaching problem solving. It's a method of troubleshooting. It's a method,
It's literally like saying a compass is objective, as if you've never seen a broken compass before.
right?
Yeah.
So scientific method is something that is a tool
Hmm.
that we use to understand our environment and
And you can
our
use it in
life
a
and our,
more or less objective way, though
absolutely. The
I'm on
method
the
itself, sure,
yes.
that can be objective, but it's a
Well,
tool. Like a hammer
I don't
doesn't
think
give a
it
shit
can.
one way or the other, but it's not
Yes.
that objective when it's used to hit you on
I
the
was gonna
head.
say, I don't think it's objective. I actually don't think I'm of the camp of we can't achieve true objectiveness. We can only
I don't.
approximate it in
Yep.
better or worse ways.
I agree. It's like saying in a vacuum.
Yeah. Yes, this is like the whole nature nurture debate. Like we'll
Yeah.
never know because you cannot take them apart.
Yeah.
And you cannot take yourself out of science. You can only lie to yourself about how much you're putting in.
And the reality is, your scientific method is better applied when you actually acknowledge
Exactly.
the lens through which you are approaching it.
So Grayson specifically repeatedly interacts with people through Stone Solutions, the Empath Initiative, and the government in general, that are like, here is the objective facts about empaths. And he, someone who genuinely loves more than one empath, is like,
Mhm.
I think they're wrong repeatedly. And sometimes he's also like, and I don't care because it just doesn't matter to me in a practical way, which I
Yeah,
love that energy. Him being
right.
like, I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm gonna do me. But it is interesting because I think that is so well done about how we are as a society right now, where people will come out these things and you're like, all right, oppressor, I see what you're saying and doing here, and it is some real bullshit. But then they
Hmm.
like lay it out for you in the lens of science, and oh, it makes me so mad.
Oh, seriously.
It made me so mad I turned into Jennifer Coolidge for a second.
I mean, there are worse people to turn into.
I'm taking the dog. I didn't think Legally Blonde would come up this often.
I'm so happy it has, though.
Too. Oh my God.
So, in summary,
Yes, yes.
if you haven't taken the opportunity to pause this podcast, go immediately consume 2 books worth and join us on our like rage induced obsession with how long it's going to take Allie Therin to
Literally,
release the next
I'm not
book.
okay.
I am not okay. I'm unwell. Um, you need to immediately do so now.
And
Just
I will say, we've spoiled a lot, but we haven't spoiled the experience. So even if you listened all the way through and you haven't read it, I think you will still find a lot unexpected.
oh
There are
yeah,
full characters whose names we have not uttered.
100%.
Diesel, I love Diesel.
Oh my God. And I am going to give you a fan cast
Okay, sorry.
for
Wow, that was out loud. I forgot you were doing this. I literally forgot. Okay, okay, I'm buckled in. I've got
okay.
my phone out to see who these people are. I'm
All
ready.
right. All right. I only fan cast 4 characters because I was deeply unprepared for this, but I did cast Reese, Grayson, Jamie, and Liam.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
The core four, if you
The
will.
core 4. So Reese, I think, could be very well played by Joe Locke,
Oh my God, yes.
right?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, he's so good at playing that like deeply emotional
Hmm.
sweetheart. And I could also love to see him fuck shit up at the end. That yes.
Exactly. Like I mean, just especially after having seen him.
Wicked.
Oh my
Spoiler alert, I guess. I
God.
forgot that was a
He's
spoiler.
frigging awesome. So I
Yeah,
just
and
Joe
acts
Locke
a
all
lot,
the
yeah.
way.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100. Oh, now I'm really excited to know who you pick for Grayson.
Okay, so for Grayson, I thought about this one hard because
This is tough.
this is tough. But I'm pretty happy with who I landed on. You
Okay.
may have to Google it though.
Okay, I'm ready.
Alexander Ludwig.
That name is familiar to me, though.
He's from Vikings.
Oh, he's cute. I'm seeing too many pictures of him smiling. I need to find a picture of him glowering.
Oh, you'll find one.
Okay, okay. I see. I see. I could see it. You know who I wish was younger and could be this person because I
Who?
think I'm right, but the age is wrong. Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay, that was actually, and it's so funny you say that because Steve said that too.
No, but like,
And
right,
you're,
if Alexander Skarsgård was True Blood era Alexander
mhm.
Skarsgård, he would be Grayson.
And Bill Skarsgård could do it,
But I don't. Bill
but he's not the same
It's not.
pretty.
They're this different kind of people. Bill
Yeah.
Skarsgård is weird pretty. He's very pretty.
Oh, so
He's
pretty.
weird
But he's
pretty.
very weird pretty. Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård is exactly Grayson pretty. He's just too old now, unfortunately.
Exactly. Which is why I went with
This,
Alexander Ludwig.
yeah, they've got very similar vibes. That's why I
Yeah.
brought him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, perfect. Because the one thing we know about Grayson, this is literally every single character in both books constantly points out, is he is unbelievably hot for
Yeah.
someone called the Dead Man, which
And
is
he's
one of
big
my
and kind of blonde and built and like
one
all
of
of
my favorite things that they
right?
say. The constantly everyone being like, "He's so scary and so hot. It's so scary, but really hot."
Like why? Why?
How dare he be so hot and so scary?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, Alexander Ludwig was in Hunger Games. I totally
Yes.
forgot this.
Yeah.
He was a douche canoe in that movie. Sorry,
So you
sorry,
know
Alexander.
though that
It's
he
not
can
his
play
fault.
it, right?
I'm like, sorry, Alexander Scars. Sorry, Alexander Ludwig. It's not your fault that you were a douche canoe in that movie, but I will always remember you as a douche canoe.
Exactly. So I'm gonna tell you this one as a pair because it's Jamie and Liam, and I
Okay,
want you to
okay.
picture these two together.
All right.
Okay, because I'm kind of proud of this one, I'm not gonna
Okay,
lie.
okay. Buckled
All
in. I'm
right.
ready.
Manny Jacinto for Liam
Oh, yes.
of Good Place Flame.
Yes. Oh, and super hot in the Acolyte fame. Yeah.
Deeply hot. Oh my God, that guy is pretty.
I
So I
know.
think he would
After
do the
watching,
PR face, you
right?
know?
After watching him in Good Place and then seeing him in that, and you're like, holy shit, have you been hot this whole time?
Yeah, so hot. Like, look at those
It turned
cheekbones.
out. It turned out
Holy
he has
shit.
been hot the whole time.
Um,
He just did dumb face so effectively that it fit it.
so he's like really good at it. Like
Brilliant
he
actor.
can really do it. So I feel like he would bring those Liam vibes of, like I'm so in love
100%.
with this hot cop
Oh
and
yeah.
I just want to do anything to make her happy.
Yeah.
So, hot cop
Huh.
who's tall and buff and just everybody stares at her because she's gorgeous and also weirdly strong for somebody who isn't, you know, a big buff man.
Right.
Zendaya,
Yes. Oh, together too.
right?
Exquisite. Yeah.
Killer.
No, perfect. Absolutely. Could you imagine watching Zendaya lift a car over her head? Oh
Hmm.
my God. I want it. I
You know
want it.
she would be so good in that role.
She would. That is perfect. You did a flawless job. No
Thank
notes,
you.
only
I was very
vibes. I
proud of
loved
that
it.
one.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of,
Oh,
this is not going to make any sense.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you. It made perfect sense in my head how these two things are connected, and it's not. It doesn't.
I'm here for it.
Predictions.
Mm.
So you reminded me, the listeners who may not have read the book, that Reese and Jamie are only half siblings. You
Yes.
know, if the fan casting didn't give it away, one of them is white, one of them is biracial. Now, the reason that's connected to my brain to predictions, there is a part in the second book where Jamie just very lightly drops the fact that she's always been suspicious of Reese's mysterious father, who they don't know,
Yes.
right? They don't know who he is. According to their mother, who is gone, who's dead at this point, he was somebody that she met, just a one night stand, and then never saw again. And after all of the shit where it turns out that the Stone Agency and the people behind the empath prison were actually the ones manipulating Reese to start his descent into corruption,
Mm-hmm.
as it's called in the book. Um, I think one of them is his dad.
Oh, deeply. I agree.
I don't know if it's a
Yes.
character we've already met or if it's like somebody in that zone of things that we're going to meet, but I definitely think it's either somebody from the EI, or the Empath Initiative, or it's somebody from Stone Agency.
Yep.
If it's not Stone himself.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What if he and Gretel are related?
It would be so great. We didn't talk about Gretel. Oh my
I
God.
know. And Gretel is so great. I friggin' love Gretel.
I do
Gretel
too.
is like literally the representative of the sane press in
It's
this.
kind of in the second book. In the first book, she's deeply in the crazy press.
Well, but that's it. No, but like for me,
I see, I see. Okay.
I still, okay, bear with me here.
All
This
right,
is a
I'm bearing.
journey.
Got a
Okay.
bear in
Because
my
I
lap.
understand where you're coming from on that, and you're not wrong. But
Because she is the daughter of Fox News.
exactly. Exactly. But she's
Actually, it's not
already,
Fox News. It's more Alex Jones. It's a little more French than Fox News even.
yeah.
But yes,
Well,
go
it's
ahead.
that like, I don't know, what is one of those weird websites? I don't know. Anyway.
InfoWars. It's
Yes. There you
InfoWars.
go. And which has now been bought, and that makes me so happy.
I
Anyway.
know. By
Oh,
the
glorious.
Onion.
Yes. Perfect. Mwah, no notes.
No,
Um,
no.
so Gretel. So Gretel is a character who fancies herself a journalist. She's a blogger.
Love it.
Um, she's always, trying to get a scoop. She's putting it out there, but no one takes her seriously. Least of
No, I
all her
know.
father, who
Oh,
is
I
the
know.
source of most of her information, because that man could not keep a secret if his lips were
Literally,
sewn
what the
shut.
fuck? He's bad at it.
Holy man. He is wild. But anyway, he takes the credit for her work when he thinks it's worthwhile
Yes.
and dismisses it when he does not. So
Yeah.
he is actually the worst.
Yes. Oh, agreed. Oh, agreed.
And she gets progressively more and more annoyed with her dad,
Yeah.
um, which very subtly radicalizes her.
Yes, I
Which is
agree.
hilarious. Now, the whole time she is actually trying to find the truth. She's
She
just been
is.
raised with
Yes.
the idea of what the truth is.
Yeah, and she
So,
has these unhinged ideas like empaths are the reason why you carved your puppets. She's like at the beginning of the book, she starts very
straight up
much
conspiracies.
Moms for Liberty is where she's at. Like the
Yeah.
books are turning the kids gay. Like that's where she's at the beginning. But you're right, she radicalizes. And one of my favorite things about the first book, especially, but it's true of the second book as well, is that kindness continually radicalizes people.
Yes.
So Reese is kind at one point to a security guard in the first book who was like trying to fuck his shit up, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, don't fire him, he's doing his job, whatever, and saves this guy's job. And that guy ends up quitting working for the evil agency and like cares about empaths. And then there's Gretel, and he's kind to her even though she has made his life hell with her.
Miserable.
She's
Yeah.
constantly taking pictures of him in compromising positions and whatever. But he's kind to her in that he's like, I think you're brilliant, and I think you're actually better than anyone else.
Yeah. He's like, it's very clear this. It's very clear that it's your fault. All of this is happening. Like he's snarky. He's like
Oh, I love it.
he's not being kind in an overtly nice way. He's
No.
being kind in an actually snarky kind of like sarcastic way, but like he's being truthful as it because
So
that's
good.
who he is. It's
Yeah.
hilarious how he presents kindness because it's not in
I
this
know.
stereotypical way.
Yeah.
And it really does end up radicalizing all of these people who have
Yeah.
been trained by this media, by their parents, by all of this
So
stuff
true.
to think a particular way. And then they actually encounter an empath who is nothing like what they expect.
Yeah.
He's not this like sugar sweet nice person who's actually evil on the inside. He's actually this acerbic kind of jackass
who's secretly
who's
kind on the
secretly
inside.
very kind on the inside.
It's so true. It's so true.
And
I love it.
they can't kind of rectify those two pictures together. So now they're like
Yeah.
looking. Okay,
Yeah.
well, where's the disconnect coming from?
Yeah. And I think that she witnesses at one point an act of violence, a
Mhm.
hate crime against Reese,
Yeah.
and it like destroys her worldview, because you
Because he
know,
doesn't fight back.
right. Well, also because she was so in privilege that she just didn't
Mhm.
think that was really happening in
Yeah,
the way that I think that is true of a lot of like extreme right wing people.
I
Like
agree.
I think that there are the ones that are the stone solutions. I think they're the ones that are genuinely evil.
Hmm.
And I think there are the ones that are genuinely ignorant. And she was definitely that, but a person with an interest in truth. So
Yeah.
when it came knocking, she didn't ignore it. And part of that, we discover in the second book, which I love so much, is that she's autistic canonically.
Yeah.
And her
And
finding the truth is one of her hyperfixations, which is amazing. I
yeah,
love
I felt
that.
pretty seen. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you did. I read it and I was like, Bronwyn. It's so
Yeah,
good. It's
yeah.
so good. That's why we need neurodivergence in the world. We break through bullshit.
It's true.
It is true. Other predictions. So what I guess one of my predictions is that Gretel is going to more and more shift to our empath side. And
Hmm.
I wonder if she isn't going to be like more essential to the second one because she's kind of a little smitten with Alex. And
Yeah, I
you know,
love that.
it's very cute.
And I think that there's potential for that to spark for
Yeah.
sure, but I think that she will be instrumental to the plot before it does.
Okay, okay. I like it.
I think so. I think
I like that.
that she will be key, and I think because of her power and her blog and the what
Yeah.
she has sort of built for herself.
Yeah, it's going to be really important in the third one, I think. Do we think
Yeah.
there's going to be more than 3 books? Because we don't have any like assurance that this is a trilogy, but
No.
it really feels like it's amping up to a final
Right?
book.
It does.
But it isn't called a trilogy, so there's a part of me like, I don't know.
I
Maybe it's not.
mean, I don't know. I really don't.
No,
It
either.
kind of depends on how the next story presents,
I
right?
know.
Like
And part of like making predictions about this is that if we had done this episode last year, we would have been wrong about everything.
every single thing. Like
Literally.
legitimately, this was unprecedented tonal shift.
Not no At no point in the book did I know accurately what was coming next. Bronwyn was nice to me and didn't read any of my inaccurate predictions that I wrote because I wrote a bunch. I kept
Although there
going
were
like,
a few.
oh, I
Yeah.
know this one that did not happen. Oh, it's
Yeah.
gonna go. It did not happen. Oh, this is what did not happen. Then I got to the end and I was like, what just happened? They did fuck
Yeah.
though. We didn't talk about this, but I will
No.
say they did fuck and it was good.
But oh my God, my favorite part of that scene is literally the very end where they're in their afterglow and Reese is like, I really want to kiss him, but I know what's going to happen. I'm going to pass out if we kiss. And he's just like, fuck it, it's worth it.
I'm
And he
gonna kiss him.
kisses him and
My
passes
favorite
out.
is how hot a sex scene is where they cannot touch skin to skin.
Hmm.
Holy shit. Allie like set up a lot of barriers for themselves of things they could and could not write, and then like just did hurdles over all of them. It was
Smashed him
amazing.
down. It was
It was so
amazing.
sexy. I'm not going to tell you anything, listeners. I think you have to go read the scene, but it's truly impressive how sexy a scene where direct skin to skin contact is impossible. It
Yep.
was giving me Pushing Daisies. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but they
Oh
also
yeah.
couldn't touch, right? And they
Yeah.
kiss at one point through a plastic like
Yes.
crime scene sheet.
Yeah.
So good. It's
Oh,
so good. But yeah, I do love that I'm gonna kiss him and fucking pass out is so
I
funny.
really do think the whole like hashtag of this series.
Oh, you cut out for a second. Hello? Oh no. All right, you said the hashtag for this series is and then cut out.
Oh, that's hilarious. So the hashtag for this series is basically fuck around and find out.
I agree.
Because
Even in
like
a literally fuck
right? It literally,
literally fuck
but like
around.
literally and subjectively, like
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Every bit of conflict, be it personal,
so
be it
true.
story wise, be it everything, is somebody fucking around and everybody finding out.
So true, Bessie. Um okay, so I really want the next book to have even more of the like found family crew that they've developed. Like
Yes.
that's I don't know if that's a prediction or a hope and dream, but I want more Diesel. I want more of our Emmy girly.
Yep.
Olivia?
I
Is it Olivia?
yes.
Yes,
And
there we go.
I ship.
Oh no, I lost you again. What's happening?
I know. Oh, am I cutting out again?
You cut out again. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You ship who?
I friendship, but ship Jamie and the Emmy.
Olivia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I at one point thought, is it about to be a threesome? It's like,
Right?
there were so many points where their like dynamic is so hot, and I was
It
like, but we know
is.
Liam's in this vibe. Maybe they're about to be a throuple. I don't know. But I
Because
also
it's
I kind of ship
oh.
Olivia and Diesel. So
Yeah, that's really cute too. And
I
Diesel's
know.
so sweet and I love him.
I
Um,
also I want more Ben, the bartender, the fake
yes.
empath bartender.
Yes. But I really want to see the relationship develop and sort of mature with Alex and Cora and
Me too.
Reese.
I'm very curious
Um,
about it.
I want to see it as how they kind of help each other through this trauma
Yeah.
and sort of redevelop their empathic connections that way.
Yeah. Okay, so here let's take a page out of like some other podcast book for a second. Do you think all three of them make it out alive?
Mm. I doubt it,
Me too.
honestly. I
Who is the smart money on not making it?
okay. Smart money in a normal
Right?
world where it's not Allie Therin and it
Yes.
okay.
It would
The
be
smart money is
Alex,
Cora.
right?
Well,
Cora and
no.
Alex. You think Cora?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, go
like the
ahead.
thing is Alex has already been quote unquote dead.
True. But I
So
think
the
in a lesser book, I think that he would die again.
oh
Like,
no, no, but that's what I mean, right? Like that
yes.
he is an easy choice because he's already been dead. The world is already prepped for that. His that's his role, right? So now he's
Right.
been back to life. He's advancing the plot in some way, but he's going to
Right.
die at the end. That's
Yeah,
sort
it's
of
very
obvious, right?
Darth Vader, I am your brother,
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
exactly. Um, but for my mind, like with if this was in anybody else's hands, it would be Cora because Cora's lost everything and really theoretically,
Yeah,
hypothetically, has nothing left to
hypothetically.
live for, has nothing left to bring,
Yeah,
So whereas both Alex and Reese have things left to live for,
yeah,
so there's that element as well. So my money is because Allie is so unpredictable and I have
yeah,
literally no idea what they're going to do with this.
yeah.
I do think that we're going to lose one of them. I don't think it will be Reese because that would be
No,
I
I don't.
would die.
I don't think we're gonna have a sad. I don't. The Allie has done such a good job giving us happiness. I don't think that they are inclined to a tragic ending. I don't think
No.
that's
And so I think it will be Cora,
interesting.
but I
Okay.
think it will be a redemption arc Cora. Like
Okay.
a good for her moment or a like a,
Yeah.
sacrificial moment where Cora gets to like she's helping Diesel
Oh
in some
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah. I like that.
Go full circle with that story, you
I
know?
like that a lot. I would like to see Alex come into his full Magneto,
Yeah.
because that is what I get from him, right? This like
100%.
righteous anger. Alex was right, but like not all of his methods are,
Yep.
dealio. And obviously he's gotten to a place where he doesn't care if there's a lot of civilian casualties and like fucking shit up. But it would be really cool. I don't know if this is gonna go
Does he
full,
have
like,
a Krakoa? Because where has he been all
that's
this
what I'm
time?
gonna say. I was like, where does he go? Like, is there like an empath? Like, we're making our stand at this place? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and it's really bothering me.
Right?
I am not well.
Allie,
Allie,
do you
how
have an arc
fascinating.
list and can we get on it?
Oh, I know. Even the arcs probably are not out yet. This is, how dare we read this book so soon after it came out? What were we
I
thinking?
don't
What
know.
were we thinking, Bronwyn?
We were thinking we had waited a year and couldn't wait any
True.
longer.
It's true. I was so proud of myself for reading it so soon after it came out, only to be so disappointed with myself for reading it so soon after it came
I
out.
mean, I have legitimately been whining about where is the sequel for over a year.
I know. Oh
Like
man, I was so
obnoxious
ready.
level whine.
I know, Sam, and I'm gonna be doing that again for
Hmm.
ever. The pain is real. We do have a number of other Allie Therin series, so I think we should venture over and read those.
Yeah, I think that's probably wise.
That might be a way to get through it, because author friend here, you are literally writing two series simultaneously. So despite the books coming out once a year, you have other books coming out every year. What the hell?
Oh
Calm
my
down.
God.
But don't, because we love it.
Okay, you know what? I would really take it as a kindness, and you could do me a solid here, Allie, if you could take a page out of Gregory Ash's book and maybe
14
release
books a
like
year.
14 books a year. That'd be
Literally,
amazing.
how does he do
I
that? I'm
don't know, but I
so
am here
confused.
for it. Gregory, call me. I'm loving this.
Call me. It's so good.
I have all of the ones that have been released so far in this last pick series, and the audio. Like I
Yeah,
can't. I love them.
that's real. So I'm gonna reach mentally across the span of distance, take your hand, and be like, "Are we gonna be okay?
I don't think no.
Is the next guy gonna kill us?"
Mhm.
If we keep going at the current trajectory of emotionality, I think I might actually melt, like physically, and I don't mean like, oh, I mean like actually implode
No,
and
like
like
I'm melting. I'm
guts and viscera just
melting.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a problem.
It
It's a
is.
problem.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad news bears up in here. So, listeners, like strap in for the next year of episodes where we probably regularly update you on how miserable we are. We don't have a sequel yet.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna happen
Yeah.
over and over and over
I'm
and
gonna make an
over.
incident board and it's gonna be like days since last Allie Therin book.
And it's going to be right next to the Days Since Last Charlie Adara book.
Yeah,
And days
Charlie, I know we know you've got life and stuff, but like
and like
girly pup,
felt.
where
Come
is
on, Leash.
Park and Cooper? What do you mean we're on this tangent? I love the tangent, but you mean you can't put out 14 books a year also?
I know, but I love this. I mean,
We're
I'm
so
still
spoiled.
waiting for book 2 and Pack of Lies.
It's
Like
coming next year. It's coming. I mean, this year. This year that we're in now, it's coming. But what's
finally.
not coming is a Park and Cooper book. And we love you, Allie. I mean, Charlie.
Yes.
Where's the next? I need to know about what it means that Cooper is the moon.
I know. I know. In Charlie we trust though.
And Charlie, we trust. We're just spoiled, it turns
Yeah.
out. We're really spoiled by our authors that put out so many books a
I
year,
know.
like Gregory Ash and David R. Slayton.
Oh God. David is kind enough to us
Yeah.
that he doesn't get super whined at in our group chats.
It's true. I mean,
I
doesn't
try to
he?
restrain myself.
We try very hard not to scream. I don't know. We scream at him a reasonable
I
amount.
am not gonna lie, I absolutely left him sobbing voice notes when he
That's
broke
so
me with his
real.
last book. So
That is so real. Did I
yeah.
ever tell you about the first time I ever wrote an author?
No.
This was teenage Chris. You can
Oh, yes.
imagine. I did
Yes.
tell you this.
Yes, but tell it again because I love this story.
I don't know if I told you this one. So there's another one, but
Oh,
I think you're thinking of the other one.
okay.
So there was this author who will remain nameless because of how the story goes.
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, this is a different one.
Okay.
You're
Yep.
thinking
This is
about the
different.
nice one that happened
Yep.
later. No, the actual first author I ever wrote, it was an indie book, so it was a small author. Um, and so I found their email and I wrote them, and it was one of those series. I discovered the series. It was 5 books in already, and I read them all over like winter break in between high school class, right?
Hmm.
And I wrote the author, and I was just so obsessed, and the new book was going to come out in a couple weeks, and I was just telling them, and we ended up having this really sweet back and forth. They were so nice, whatever. And they were like, "Oh my God, I love that you love this book so much." But again, the really important point here is that I was like 15.
Hmm.
So important to the story.
Oh, no.
The next book comes out. I to this day can bring up the visceral anger this book
Oh,
caused in me,
no.
because look, I maintain that this author made a terrible life choice with this book. I don't know what they were thinking. Irrelevant. I would have at this point in time just said nothing.
Yep.
But we had a back and forth. We were talking. And I
Oh,
I
no.
wasn't I was not mean. I swear. 15-year-old baby Chris was incapable of being mean. It would have made me cry. Even when I should have been, I wasn't. So I wasn't mean, but what I was deeply unhinged. I wrote this poor author a completely unhinged email, the likes of which would usually be relegated to someone's Tumblr, if you get me.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, I am so devastated. Can you tell me it's gonna be okay? It was deeply crazy, right?
Oh, no.
This author like chewed me the fuck out, which I think would have been deserved had I been an adult, and was not super deserved because I was 15.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have wrote her. I didn't know better. Anyway, I got very much chewed out and was like deeply hurt by it. But now I look back and I'm like, well, I don't know what she was supposed to do with the level of crazy I sent her way.
Oh.
But I maintain she could have been nicer to a child. But and that's why I
Yeah.
won't name who it is, because I think she should have been nicer and chill a little bit more.
Yeah.
And she was an adult talking to a child, and like you shouldn't match the energy of the child.
Yeah, it's never a good look.
However, I did learn how to talk to people a little bit better after that. So,
Yeah.
but that made me
Oh.
think of it because of how we sometimes scream at David. It was like that, but so much crazier.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I
no,
wonder
I
if
only
I'm
ever scream at David in love
yeah. Oh
because
yeah. Oh, it was in love was the thing. It was too much love. It was a lot of big love. I'm gonna dig and see if I still have that email, because I'm really curious how bad it is. This is only from my memory. I never reread it, but I'm like, wow, how crazy did I sound?
Oh
So
my God,
that's
I
gonna be
do
my
want to hear
project.
that.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to find it.
because that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was, oh my God, it was so crazy.
Oh,
On that note,
yeah, that seems like a good wrap-up note.
right? Doesn't it? So come back next time. We're gonna do our queer end review. And this time we might actually do both parts instead of having a part one that never concluded, like we were making the Divergent movies or something.
Oops.
R.I.P. second Divergent ending movie that never came. I might be the only person that still cares about that, but I do.
Yeah, I think you might be.
I know. They weren't good, but I still wanted them to end.
Oh, if confessions, I didn't even finish that last Divergent book.
Oh, nobody finished the book. That's why I wanted the movie.
Yeah.
I wanted the movie so I wouldn't have to finish reading the book. But when I got to the point, I don't think it matters if we spoil a book that's 20 years old that nobody cares about.
No.
RIP if there's any people that really care about Divergent, I'm sorry. But when they killed the main character halfway through the final book, I was like,
Yeah.
bye, Chuck's out window.
Yeah. I was just like, that I just why? What? Uh, I don't even
Sometimes,
honestly, I'm not even sure I made it that far.
did you not? It was pretty bad before that, but it might not even been halfway through. She dies surprisingly early in a book that was from her point of view.
Yeah.
And when it's suddenly next chapter, Flora's point of view, and I was like, fuck that. Talk about canon moments in my childhood.
Yeah, like that's a choice.
It wasn't a good one, but it was an interesting one.
Yep. And sometimes, I mean, honestly, sometimes that's a thing. I remember reading books in high school, as part of the sort of required reading
Yeah.
where I raged. I hated the
Oh, same
characters
here.
so much. But that was a point of realization for me that, art doesn't have a responsibility to make you feel good.
Yeah.
It has a responsibility to make you feel.
But sometimes we want art to make us feel good. So, Allie Therin,
Yes.
this does not apply to you.
No,
You've
no,
got to fix this now, okay? You made
no.
this mess and you're going to fix it for us.
Because you don't want me sending you unhinged voice notes. We don't have that kind of relationship yet.
You do not want 15-year-old Chris to pop out and send you the most unhinged message that you might have forwarded to the FBI. Oh.
Oh God, please understand that we're kidding, right? Please.
Yeah, kidding. That's what we are. We love you so much. Please come on our show. We
Oh,
won't even scream at you.
oh God, seriously, these books are incredible.
Yeah.
They're so good.
We have got to end. We have done a this is what we call in the US a Midwestern ending.
Yeah,
We've
that's true.
officially said goodbye 12 times.
Yeah, we call it a Nova Scotia ending, so
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Is that in the middle of your country too? I actually don't know
it is
geography.
not. That's on the East Coast.
I thought it was, but I was like, I'm not confident I know enough to know if that's true or not.
Yeah,
Well, with that, listeners, we love you. Go read these books, scream about them in our messages,
exactly.
and
Join us. We'll make our own support group.
send us your queer and review things. What was your favorite books of the year? Things like that. We will
Yes.
read them on the show, so send them our way. We
And
love
send me some
you.
straight books you liked because, like, legit, I didn't read any.
I read two.
So,
And they were authors I've already liked. So it was vetted books.
yep.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night. Love
We
you.
love you. Stay chill.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And where can our listeners find you, Bronwyn?
Well, I used to say you can find me anywhere that's social, but these days I'm a little bit more selective. So I exist on Blue Sky. I am occasionally on Threads. I pop into Instagram and I post my pet shaming on TikTok, all under Shiny Baby Bee.
I love that. Succinct.
And if you would like to follow anything else, I very much recommend the Talking Comics show that, spawned us in our chaos. So
Our
you can
daddy
find
show.
exactly our Zaddy show.
Our Zaddy show, Talking Comics. I am sometimes still on there, though I'm more of a cryptid there these days.
Ditto. More of a ghost.
You can hear traces of us.
Exactly. Sometimes in the background, sometimes popping up when you least expect us.
100%. And you can find me. I am also more selective. Basically, what we're saying is we're not on the formerly known as Twitter anymore.
Mm.
But you can find me on Threads, on Instagram, and on Blue Sky as either the myth of Psyche or the myth of Chris. And if you want to know which is which, I recommend going to linktree.com/the myth of Psyche. It has all of my social media since I was less consistent than Bronwyn about what my name was on different platforms. Recently, my most active I've been is my book Instagram, which is the myth of Chris reads, and you can get lots of little book reviews over there.
And if you want to listen to me other places, I am still co-hosting Gotham Outsiders, which is posting much more regularly than it used to. And you can also follow our show on Threads, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Thirsty on Tap.